Last night, Donald Trump announced that he had tested positive for COVID-19, as did the First Lady, Melania Trump. And now we're getting breaking news that while his symptoms aren't severe, so they say, out of an abundance of caution, Donald Trump is being airlifted to Walter Reed on Marine One. He was seen leaving the White House giving a thumbs up. So far, everything seems good. And it's just crazy timing with everything that's going on. And now conspiracy theories are popping up. You've got high-profile leftists arguing that Donald Trump is faking his sickness so he could change the news cycle, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. But apparently Donald Trump is being given an experimental treatment. It's still in clinical trials, we'll see. But there's been an ongoing conspiracy among the left that Trump is going to announce he's been cured after a few days because he took hydroxychloroquine. This has shifted the news cycle. I mean, one thing's true. The news cycle has been shifted off of the Proud Boys and the debates completely. I saw this really funny tweet from a journalist where she was like, on the 18th, Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. On the 25th, Trump nominated Amy Coney Barrett, and now several days later, Donald Trump is diagnosed with COVID. Like, the news cycle is a bullet train. It's breaking the sound barrier. That's how insane this is. Does anyone even remember that we have a Supreme Court vacancy? Probably not. One of the conspiracies is that we're now going to be entering COVID watch for Donald Trump as the tickers are on the news saying like day 7, Donald Trump COVID watch. But in all seriousness, hopefully he's going to be fine. We're going to have I guess we're not having a normal election no matter what happens. So that's 2020. But anyway, welcome to the Timcast IRL podcast. We are hanging out with, of course, Ian Crossland.
Hey.
Ian's hanging out. And Sark Petrolids, of course, is doing the production. And today, as our guest, is Andrew from Don't Walk Run.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
How do I describe who you are?
I'm the senior political analyst. I'm the top senior political analyst on YouTube. Let's just say that.
Make sure you get near your mic.
Oh, sorry, jeepers. I'm the senior political analyst at my production company, Don't Walk Run.
Is there more than one person?
No, it's just me.
Oh, okay. Well, congratulations on your title.
Yeah,
I'd have gone for something a bit more verbose and grandiose.
Like, I'm a very humble man.
Maybe like Supreme Chancellor. You know what I mean? Supreme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Palpatine. Just
call yourself. That's my title.
I also have somebody that helps me out occasionally. Her name is Poofy. Thank you, Poofy. Just wanted to say hello. Everybody knows Poofy. She's kind of like my script doctor occasionally, but I'm pretty much by myself.
You do, and you do political videos.
Yes, I do.
Analysis.
Political commentary, some stuff about the pink tax. How it's not real, things like that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna start with we're just gonna talk about what's going on because this is a crazy story. For those that are just tuning in, make sure you smash that like button.
Yes.
Just break it. Or give it a little tap. Like button. And subscribe, hit the notification bell. We do the show Monday through Friday live, and we got to talk about this breaking news, man. So here's the story from the Daily Mail. Trump gives thumbs up as he walks to Marine One to be medevaced to Walter Reed for COVID treatment. President releases video reassuring Americans he is doing well as son Eric asks, "Pray for my dad," and White House says he is staying in charge. We got some bullet points. They say he gave a thumbs up. He's expected to remain in the hospital for a few days, where the White House says he will continue working. As he traveled, a video was posted to the president's Twitter account in which he thanked the American people for their support. And then I think it was Jim Acosta who tweeted a picture saying he won't stop and talk to the press. It's like
shocking.
Yeah, is that his priority right now? But sure. Thanks for letting us know. The White House confirmed he had not handed over power to Vice President Pence. Trump's son Eric called him a true warrior. As he asked for prayers for his recovery on Twitter, Trump and Melania announced they tested positive in the early hours of Friday morning and were self-isolating in the White House. The First Lady on Friday tweeted that she had mild symptoms but was feeling good. Ivanka, Barron, and Jared Kushner have all tested negative, as has Vice President Mike Pence. Joe Biden has they go on to say he's 77, I guess, but that it does matter. He's tested negative. So almost immediately we're getting crazy speculation. The first thing I thought when I heard, it's like, whoa, they're airlifting Trump. I'm imagining like Trump like collapsing in like the White House and then like run. But he walks out and he gives a thumbs up like it's no big deal.
Yeah, he wasn't brought out on a stretcher.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
So naturally, it's really funny, the circumstance isn't funny, but what's funny is the reaction, how because Trump isn't collapsing, and gasping for air, it must be a conspiracy. Trump's not really sick. He's just trying to steal back the news cycle.
Well, you know, they talk about how devastating COVID is, but, you know, or the mainstream media will have you think, oh, like they have the death count on CNN and
Yeah.
you know, but it's not a death sentence, you know. I think that Trump's gonna probably come out of this okay. What do you think?
Does it just end up with like a week goes by, Trump's fine? Or, I mean, it's 2020, man. Come on. We're talking apocalyptic level fiction and sci-fi kind of.
Well, didn't you say an experimental treatment?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So Trump received Regeneron's experimental antibody drug for his coronavirus symptoms.
Ooh.
The experimental treatment is still in clinical trials.
Oh.
So
He's going to be a zombie?
What if he comes out and he's like, he looks like he's 50?
Whoa.
Like he de-ages.
Stem cells.
He's super ripped.
He'll definitely
And he's like
win.
standing there and like his muscles rip his shirt. He's like, I feel better than ever.
Listen, I feel better than ever. Everyone agrees.
Like super Hulk Trump.
That'd be an instant vote from me.
Yeah, that'd be so cool. That'd be awesome.
So he's basically hijacking the news cycle, whether he means to or not right now.
Yeah. I mean,
You think the way he came out ahead, he was like, we're coming out ahead on this one. So he like posted it on Twitter immediately when they found out, was like, we're going to milk this.
I don't think there's any conspiracy or anything like that, man. I think a ton of people got COVID, right? So was it Mike Lee, I think, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he tested positive.
And Ronna McDaniel.
Yep.
And there's a video of Mike Lee like hugging everybody at this
no.
like Amy Coney Barrett nomination thing. So, you know, it's really funny. There's a tweet and I can't remember who tweeted. They were like, why is it that so many Republicans are getting COVID and so many high profile Democrats aren't? And it's like, well, you know, Republicans, a lot of them aren't wearing masks.
Ralph Northam
And
got it.
Yeah.
Democrats
have got it.
Yeah.
But
But-
I thought he was a Republican because he was wearing the KKK
Oh, that's
thing,
right. I can't
Isn't he a
keep up.
Republican?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, wait.
What do we do? Which one is the racist one again? Which party is it?
I love it. It's like there's a picture of me. I'm not sure which one I was. I
There's-
can't remember
Well, there's-
whether I was wearing makeup on my face or just like a hood.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you.
Pick one. They're both great.
All right, I absolutely have to read a super chat right here in this segment because it's hilarious. So Mark says, hey, Tim, imagine if Trump has the cure in his antibodies. The cure would have Trump's DNA in the vaccination, and what is it? And people will freak out then. Could you, well, actually think about this. I think you mentioned something about South Park. Imagine if Trump gets this, and then they're like, he has mild symptoms, and then like by tomorrow he's totally fine. And they're like, this is strange. He's completely cured. So they do a blood test and find that Trump, his blood has the specific antibody that they need for the cure. And then they go to all the leftists and they're like, we have to inject you with this vaccine with Trump's DNA. Like, we're
won't
literally
take it.
going to put Trump in your veins now. I don't think anything like that will really happen,
I think
But it's a
there's so
funny.
many people that
I mean,
wouldn't take it.
it doesn't sound
I
that.
wouldn't take it.
It's true.
I'd
They'd
rather
rather
die.
die.
I have
yeah.
nothing to do with him.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, it doesn't
dude.
sound that far fetched, but I don't know.
It's 2020, man. Bring it on.
What if the opposite happened? Well, what if it was with Biden? What if Biden contracted the virus and it was in his DNA? Would you take the Biden vaccine or
Why not?
Or
I don't know. It's a look. I think if the companies do testing and the vaccine comes out, I'm not worried that like a bunch of people are just going to turn into zombies or like drop dead or become Biden or something. You know, like
I always think about I Am Legend, where they're like, we have this cure for cancer. Everybody takes it. It's fine. No problem. And then suddenly, there's like the last person on earth is Will Smith.
yeah, but the movie ruined the actual story.
Yeah.
Like the actual story was that once everyone was a vampire, was like a zombie mutant, whatever. He was the legendary monster who lurked while they slept, killing them. Get it?
Sure. Okay.
The movie didn't do that. The movie totally missed the concept.
I see.
Yeah. So I've actually referenced I've referenced I Am Legend in the context of like social justice and identitarianism on the left. Like there will come a point where when the entire country has adopted this ideology, you are the fringe zealot weirdo with crazy ideas, and then like that's kind of like the same idea, like everyone becomes a zombie because they take the Biden vaccine. I'm kidding.
Sure.
It's not gonna happen.
But there's something about rushing out a medicine that a horde of people would take without proper clinical trials. You're supposed to be in clinical trials for years.
Yeah.
Most stuff.
Yeah, that's one of my things. Like, I'll wait a little bit. I'm not gonna. If they announced a vaccine I'm not going to run out the door full speed, throw my coat, and like go 90 miles an hour. I'm going to be like, yeah,
I mean, well, first of all, you can anyway, because they're going to give it to frontline workers and stuff
Right,
like
exactly.
that. So, let them see what happens. Let them see.
Are you interested in the
guinea pig it?
vaccine?
Pass. No, I don't know.
No, thanks.
I look at it this way. I don't think I necessarily have a problem with. There's so many people. There's so many companies that are working on the same thing. So if they all kind of come to the same conclusion, maybe
I just don't think that there's, maybe there's going to be malpractice. Maybe there will be mistakes. Maybe, like you said, clinical trials are supposed to take a long time. And Trump's got, what is it, Operation Warp Speed, I think it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I
mean,
don't know if I want to take a vaccine that's been like mass produced and pumped out by a major pharmaceutical in only a few months,
Are we supposed to wait until like COVID 23 hits and then we?
Is that why it's called 19?
No.
Why is it called 19?
Because it was
2019?
Because it came from 2019. Yeah.
Is that it? So then
That's right.
COVID 23 will have 4 years,
Yeah.
and then we're on COVID 23.
We're gonna have the
start-
yearly COVID.
You guys start naming them like hurricanes.
Well, actually, we'll probably only have a COVID like once every 4 years, probably. But only when a Republican's in the White House.
Yeah, I think this
Yeah,
is the
yeah,
case.
yeah.
Yeah,
Every
absolutely.
time a Republican gets elected, it's like, oh, COVID's back.
Oh, man.
They'll lock the economy
Do
down.
you guys
and
think it has something to do with global warming? I'm going to go there because, like, if they say that like bacteria and stuff can lie dormant under the glaciers, and as they recede, that it releases new.
I heard about that.
That's where the COVID came from.
I wonder if that has something
global warming.
because it just appears.
They're gonna make a movie like this because you know
Yeah.
how they did like the Comey. What is it? The Comey Report or something?
Sure.
Was that?
Yeah.
What, oh
The
man.
Comey something.
Yeah, yeah. Have you seen it?
No.
I thought the trailer was a parody. I thought it was like gonna be like Funny or Die or like The Onion.
Right.
It was really bad. But anyway, they're gonna make a movie out of this, and they're gonna have Trump, and it's gonna be like Alec Baldwin, just really horrible impression.
Oh, God.
And it's gonna be like some climate change researchers, and they're gonna watch like the Larson B ice shelf break, and it's gonna be what's that guy's name? His brother Dennis Quaid. That's his name, right? He was in the movie The Day After Tomorrow. Was that him?
I didn't
Randy
see it.
Quaid.
Randy? No,
I think
Randy's
those guys are brothers, though.
Randy's the one.
I'm sorry. I'm
yeah,
thinking
Randy's the
of-
crazy one who's got the crazy beard.
I was
He's like,
thinking. I was thinking Independence Day. That's
that
my
was
fault.
Randy Quaid.
Yeah, that was Randy.
Yes.
Day After Tomorrow was Dennis Quaid.
Yes.
So they're going to have him like the shelf breaks, but instead of him being like, oh no, it's going to disrupt the current, a green fog is going to come out and he's going to go, ah, and then that's going to show him like at the council being like the coronavirus escaped the ice. I mean, I'm being silly, but actually Ian brings up a good point because they've been talking about like viruses and bacteria that are trapped in ice, that when it melts, they get released. I mean, if it brings about maybe like a zombie apocalypse, at this point, it's the waiting I can't stand,
I
just
think
get it done.
Brett Weinstein was saying that it was like an ancient virus.
COVID was?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe
I don't
they-
know enough about it.
I don't believe that, but
I
I,
saw-
don't have any other evidence to the contrary.
And I just saw
But I
it on
don't
one
have the
podcast.
wherewithal to defend myself. I saw there's a funny meme going around. It's that picture of Trump eating the taco bowl. Mm-hmm. It's of him, but it's a soup with a bat in it.
Please tell me he made it.
I wish.
I have to know.
Please tell me somebody on his staff like just made it up, or maybe like Donkum, maybe.
Donkum.
No,
Yeah,
I don't know.
probably.
It's somebody made the meme and they're sharing it around.
What I need to know is where did COVID come from? Did it get released? Was
It's
it
a-
in a lab? Was it a bat virus? 2020. Just tell me. That's
Well, first of all, we don't know. And that's one of the biggest issues when people make assertions like it did this, it did that. The general thinking is that it emerged from bats, and then because of the unsanitary conditions of the wet markets in China, you end up with it spreading around and then going crazy. And that's really easy to believe, man.
Yeah.
I don't understand why people can't believe that. I know Tucker Carlson had that woman on.
Sure.
So I'm for those of you that are listening, a woman who worked at, I believe, Hong Kong University or a university in Hong Kong saying that it was manufactured and released on purpose. And I'm kind of like, first, it's one person who didn't work in any of these labs in China saying this. And I feel like there's certain
She
people.
says she has evidence.
She released a paper on it
Yeah.
explaining it. And so I can respect that for sure. I'm not a scientist. I'm not going to refute it. I'm just saying it's really easy to believe that the horrifying human rights abuses and unsanitary conditions of China and their pollution problems, I'm sure they got all kinds of crazy diseases, man. Like you'll go there and you'll walk out with like 17 new plagues or something. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm saying like
Right.
those wet markets are really dirty.
yeah. They don't really exist in the United States, do they?
Not in the same way, but if you go to like Chinatown, you've seen this, right? When you're in New York and they have all like the dead like the fish and the rabbits and stuff. They're just like sitting in front of the shops.
Fish, yeah. I don't think I've ever seen
They
rabbits.
hang from the windows.
But yeah.
You've not seen the rabbits?
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure. Maybe it's ducks. Maybe I'm thinking ducks.
Ducks, definitely.
Okay, yeah. Ducks. I'm pretty sure I've seen like maybe I haven't seen rabbits. Maybe I dreamt that. It's not real.
Ooh.
I don't know. But it's not the same
Maybe
thing.
in The Walking Dead.
Yeah. But when you go to it's I wouldn't call it a wet market. They have like a display of all the fish, and it kind
They're on
of
ice.
smells. You know.
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
but that's anywhere. That's
Yeah, no,
at
for sure.
any seafood market in the city. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and there's definitely, I think it's probably regulated a little bit more. It's probably a lot more sanitary than in China. I would think. I'm guessing.
I was
Never
just
been to China.
Are you guys familiar with putrescine and cadaverine?
No, what is
They're
it?
two
Smell bad.
chemicals that basically digest meat, and they break it down and they make the putrid, cadaverous
Putrescine?
smell. Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Isn't this crazy that stuff's real? And
No
it's,
way.
It's not like mainstream known to people. But yeah, it grows on
I
meat.
don't believe you.
Check it out, dude. Putrescine and cadaverine.
No way.
Totally.
Is that real?
I will look it up. It does sound right though.
Really?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Cadaverine.
That's
That
what
does
makes.
sound
That's that
familiar.
black
Wow,
rock.
quick on the draw.
Yeah. Let me Google
How
it.
did where are we going with
Just
this?
talk about
What-
the
we're talking
dirtiness
about
of
We were talking about the
open
wet
meat
markets, and then we talked
Oh,
about
okay. I'm like, what?
Chinatown.
We were like
Bacteria that
zombies.
grows on it.
But here's a thing that Joe Biden mentions all the time. He's like, why didn't we have people on the ground in China when, like, why didn't we send people there? It's like, do you think they would have showed us? Really?
Yeah,
Like,
they
do
would-
you-
they
like,
would have
what
shown
would
us-
we have found? I don't think we would have found anything.
They'd bring us to their Potemkin wet markets where everyone's wearing like a chef suit and they're like doing song and dance and like everything's in a refrigerator.
I mean,
don't
do you
believe that
think they
stuff's
would
real.
have taken us to, like, if we would have said, okay, wet market, maybe it happened here, but you got that lab down the street too.
Yeah,
so,
I know,
So can we check that out? Do you think they would have said, right this way, sir?
Yes.
Like, I don't think
I do.
so.
No, I do. But they would be like, right this way. And then they would like walk people and then they would come to this like hole. It would look like a door.
Yeah.
And then when
okay.
they walk through it, two guys are holding up a painting.
Yes.
Of like, and then they run away and it's actually a pub. So they tricked the people into thinking they're walking into the lab. And then like inside, it's a bunch of actors. I'm half kidding, but I think they would have been like, oh yes, we'll show you the lab. And it's already been purged of everything. Just like,
right? Yeah,
they
would
trash
have
everything.
time. Yeah,
Exactly.
Didn't they supposedly destroy evidence anyway? Didn't they destroy papers?
I don't
and
know
stuff
for
like that?
sure, but I know there was like major flooding sweeping the area, and people were worried it was like, I think the flooding was hitting Wuhan, was it? Or
Yeah.
did it-
So the other thing interesting that's been happening is that they've had a lot of explosions there in Wuhan.
What?
Yeah, they have. I've read multiple instances of gigantic explosions in Wuhan, and I don't
Okay.
have them pulled up for anything. But yeah, that was really interesting to me.
That's
what's going on over there.
Wow.
Yeah, weird, right? Coincidental.
I know you're shocked.
Yeah, it's shocking. It's crazy. Weird stuff happens in China.
What if who were we talking to? They said, was it Jack Murphy? Said we're at war with China.
Jack
Yeah.
did.
It's just fourth generational warfare. So one of the problems a lot of people have is like a normalcy bias and an optimism bias, and so they'll assume. I guess there's another kind of bias for it. I don't know which one it would be, like a history bias. If it doesn't happen this way, it's not really happening. You know what I mean? Like they assume war means like, fighter jets shooting each other in the sky and blowing up. And then like we land a bunch of U-boats in the shores of China and like, and storm in. But that's not what warfare is today. Today it's manipulation, it's media strategy, it's disruption, it's demoralization. And so I wonder if some of the things that are happening in the U.S. and China, and I'm not saying that there's a grand conspiracy or anything. I'm saying there could be warfare going on we don't know about. So it's actually, there's something called industrial control systems. They're digital technology that can control power plants and refineries. These things are easily hacked and easily disrupted. I went and saw tons of displays. I was at DEF CON and Black Hat, these hacker conventions, years ago. And they had a whole section on ICS hacking, industrial control systems. And they're like, here's how you can blow up a power plant. And then they actually did a demonstration where they made a pipe burst. They put a valve on it, though, so that when it bursts, it pressurizes the valve. But there was like one thing where they said, like, this system that we're manipulating is what nuclear power plants use. It's what refineries use. And we can actually hack this system very easily with only a few lines of code to send the fluid, whichever it is, in the same direction into the same pipe until it explodes. and the pressure, boom, will spray fuel and probably spark a fire, and then and go up. And so I think about stuff like that, and I don't know to what extent we've shored up our cybersecurity defenses, but I don't know that even if we did, it would make a difference. All right, so I bring this up because then you hear all these stories about like, this oil refinery blew up for unknown, it was an accident. It must have been an accident. Then you hear about these explosions happening in Wuhan. You hear about all these things, and I wonder how much of this may actually be hot war, like legit full-on efforts by both countries to hurt each other. Meanwhile, the public just thinks everything's okay.
Or maybe it was the Chinese trying to cover up things and,
Right.
oh my God, this explosion just happened for no reason.
Heavens.
So, I mean, I mean, it's possible. As far as infiltrating these systems, do you think that all countries have the potential of doing it to all other countries?
Dude, the scary thing about cyber war is that some 19-year-old kid who's bored in his bedroom from like anywhere could be like, I would like to do these things.
Like Twitter?
Yeah. So like when Twitter got hacked, there was the Associated Press got hacked, and they tweeted that
they were hacked. Right.
Yeah.
Oh no, from the kid. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, so this was,
But
this
it was
years
kind of
ago.
an inside job, right?
No,
Is this the last one?
No,
Yeah,
I'm talking
the
about a
most
different
recent one.
scenario.
Oh, okay.
So this was years ago. This kid in Russia, he was Syrian, hacked Twitter, and we believe this is the guy. At least the last time I had anything to do with reporting on the story. He was just some college kid. I believe he was in Moscow, and he tweeted that Obama had been injured in an attack on the White House, and it caused a stock drop off of like $4 billion. And then within 5 minutes, once it was realized it was fake, it rebounded. What people don't realize is that was a dramatic and massive transfer of wealth in only a few minutes. When the stock got sold off because of the cyber attack, that was person A selling and losing the asset. And then when it rebounded and went right back up, that was person B. Get it? Different people were getting rid of. I couldn't imagine being that person who was sitting on your stock. Then there's this fake tweet. The computer automatically sells off your assets, and then someone else automatically bought them right back up. And then you realize it was all fake.
Okay,
And
because they said they had like a sell limit. Like if it drops below this, then automatically sell it off. Is that what you're saying?
So
okay.
So what happened was when a few people heard this and sold, then they hit their, I forgot what it's called. I'm not a stock person.
Yeah, me neither.
They hit that number where it's like, if it drops this low, sell, which triggered a cascade. Mm-hmm. And then once people realized it was fake, people started buying again, which triggered the other cascade in the other direction. So we saw billions of dollars exchange hands at that point. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's the scary kind of stuff, we could see. So I think maybe it's all speculative for sure. But yeah, it could be them trying to cover things up. And I think the craziest thing about it is sort of the complacency. Is that the right word? Like the collusion in a sense from media companies and from social media. So, for example, what I mean is when Tucker Carlson has a woman on who says, I've written a paper and I have evidence that this was made in a lab, I say, prove it. I don't care. I get it. You're a professor. Prove it. Instagram blocked it saying it was fake news. Why? And the links were, so when Facebook or Instagram says it's fake news, you can click it and it says, see why. The stories had nothing to do with Tucker Carlson or his whistleblower.
Right. It had if I remember correctly, Tucker said that some of the examples were written well before the paper was published. So that's
I know.
it's oof.
I noticed something really
Scary.
interesting.
It's scary how they can control these things.
But why is it that way? Because I don't think there's a grand, architect controlling the machine. Wahaha. But when Tucker Carlson has an expert with credentials, PhD from a university in Hong Kong, who says they have proof and published a paper on it, how is that fake news? It's an expert opinion.
But somebody did come out. Somebody did. They saw that tweet and said, like they hit a button to market it.
Nope.
That was not an automatic thing.
Exactly.
So
because an algorithm can't tell
right
what the context of a discussion with Tucker Carlson is.
Exactly.
I noticed something when I was when I was looking at some of these fact checking organizations. I was reading about. I saw a website and I forgot what the name of it was, and they were saying like some outlandish claim. And I went there and I was reading about it, and I was like, this story seems nuts. So I pulled up these fact checking sites. You got like Check Your Fact and like, Know Your Fact or whatever, and Lead Stories. And I started reading about one of these sites, and it said, these stories are fake news. This is a conspiracy theory website. But one of the stories quoted like a former CIA official. And so I said, how is that fake news? It's a quote it's a guy asking a CIA official, what do you think about this thing? And they said, yeah, but the CIA official said crazy stuff. And I'm like, I don't know. Define crazy. You know what I mean? So basically what happens is you can get former intelligence individuals to go on record and say something, but if it goes against orthodoxy, then the media machine is like, that must be fake news, therefore it is. For example, I'll give you another really good example. Joe Biden, was he wearing a wire? Did you see this?
Yes.
Okay, they said, fake news, it was a crease in his shirt. And I said, you saying it was a crease is as speculative as them saying it was a wire. How do you know it was a crease in his shirt? Did you inspect his lapel? No. They just literally said, oh, these people are crazy. I think it was a crease. Therefore, you're all fake news. So you have two people arguing and speculating with each other on the internet, yet one of them is granted power to actually inhibit the spread of certain information. And that's the current state of things.
Well, that one was weird, that whole Joe Biden thing. I thought that if whether that was a crease or a wire, I thought that wire was like a lav mic.
Yeah, it was a microphone.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
In
it
his
was.
left sleeve, it looked like there was a little microphone.
No, that was a pen.
No, that was no.
I think it was Photoshopped.
No, apparently that was a rosary bead.
Oh,
he was wearing
really?
He was wearing a rosary for his for Bo.
Well,
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
I did see the full image, but I thought in the image with the rosary, he just put the pen in his sleeve when he was not holding
I mean,
it.
which he could have, but apparently it was a rosary. But either way, whether it was a pen or a mic or anything, or even if there was a wire here, like what would be the significance?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, I know, I don't care.
You couldn't if he didn't have anything in his ear anyway, which IFBs are they go behind you and in the ear. So
But
whether
you know what they're saying? They're saying that he had implantable bone conduction. I'm like, just
oh,
you know
that I
what?
believe.
he was neural
No,
netted
just
up.
get out of
Yeah.
here. He's got Neuralink.
Yeah, he's already
He's,
linked up.
he's being
Yeah.
remote controlled by Elon Musk.
Elon
Okay, that
Musk,
I believe.
yeah.
That's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, could you imagine there's like
Fine.
Hillary Clinton's in the back room with a remote control and a microphone, and she's like
Go for it,
controlling
Joe.
him. And
Don't respond.
But Elon Musk is like, you have to press this button here if you want him to move his left hand up.
Yeah.
No, do it like you're doing it wrong. I'm trying to explain to you. And then she's like, oh, like this. And then and that's why Joe stutters and stammers.
Maybe like,
She's
look
like,
at the camera now. Turn this knob to make him look at the camera.
Elon Musk and Neuralink.
Like I don't usually fall for those conspiracy theories. Like when they say that Joe Biden is reading from a teleprompter when he's answering questions from reporters. Like, well, or the one where he was on James Corden and he's holding up pictures and they're like, oh, see, in reflection in the picture, there's a teleprompter. It's like, well, but he's just talking about his kids. Like, who cares? Like, even if he was like in that moment, I don't care if he's reading from a teleprompter. And he didn't sound like he was reading from a teleprompter, and he wasn't talking about policy.
But I don't understand the teleprompter thing anyway.
Well, because he has a broadcast camera set up in his home.
No, I just mean like,
Yeah.
who cares?
Well, okay, but see, the thing is, there's been other times where he's been speaking with like a governor or something, and it's supposed to be a conversation.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And like an off the cuff conversation, and then suddenly
He uses a prompter. He
He'll
does.
go and use a prompter, and it's like, well, that's deceptive because it literally says in the title, a conversation with Governor so and so.
Do you remember the thing where he like pulls his hand to the side and starts fanning upwards?
Yeah.
Like that's a prompter. He's saying speed up because I've used
and-
prompters before
and that's
too.
because he was reading from something,
Right,
Anyway,
of course.
But the fact that he uses it as a crutch for everything, like he just can't have a like I'm reading from a teleprompter now. You wouldn't know this. No, okay.
Yeah, it's all there. Everything he's saying is pre-programmed
Whole
by.
show.
It's
by-
all.
yeah.
This is all.
By
This is
Poofy?
all
Is that-
scripted, man.
Oh yeah, people don't realize we rehearsed for hours to get this
did,
right.
yeah.
Oh
Big
man.
Tim takes time off.
Poofy
Yeah.
is
rehearsal.
she's in the Google Doc right now,
Yeah,
like
she's
telling me
fixing
what
it
to
for
say.
you.
She's just real time doing the prompter.
I always got annoyed when Trump would go on prompt because he speaks off prompt and he's real natural. He's loud. And then he goes like this and he starts talking like this. And it's like, oh, he's boring Trump again because he's on the prompter.
Yeah, there's definitely teleprompter Trump and there's off the cuff like fun Trump, you know.
Correct.
And everybody loves fun Trump, and I love when he goes off.
Everybody, huh?
Well, yeah.
Oh, come on. All right. Well, everybody who's not completely triggered by Trump. You know.
Everyone who's normal.
Everybody's normal. Because Trump is funny. He's a
hilarious.
funny guy.
Like back in the day, with the presidents, they just didn't have a prompter before well, not for lectures, but before TV, before radio and stuff.
Cue cards, maybe.
Maybe they had cue cards. Maybe they had like a speech in front of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
they'd write down their speech.
Did they also just talk to people a lot more frequently?
Yeah, I'd imagine.
We need that again.
But Trump's doing that.
Yeah, he kind of is.
I go to a Trump rally, man, because I've been to so many in the past cycle. It's like going and watching stand up. I'm not even exaggerating.
No,
he's self-aware.
He's a comedian.
He's an entertainer.
Yeah.
He's self-aware, and he is even self-deprecating when he there was the one point where he was like, "These lights are making me orange."
Yes, I love
you know, like
that.
everybody
Yeah.
laughed. It's like, we get it, dude. You're orange. He's self-aware. He knows. Yeah, man. It's like he's a funny guy.
You saw he's definitely self-deprecating. Like for example, remember that I can't remember what the phrases were, but there was an audio file that sounded like one word to some people and in other words to others.
Was it
Laurel
Laurel?
and Yanni.
Laurel
or
and Yanni?
Yanni. Yeah. And so the White House made a video.
Oh, I remember this.
They made a video of it was like Kellyanne Conway and I think Mike Pence and like a whole bunch of the cabinet, and they were listening and they were saying, it sounds like this, it sounds like this. Or I go, no, it's definitely Yanni, but it could be Laurel, like, you know, if you persuaded me. And at the very end, it had Trump sitting at the Resolute desk, and he's like, he goes, I hear Kofefi, and it's just like, and you know, which is hilarious. Like he's not like, I never said Kofefi.
I know, he rolled with
I never
it.
said it. I never typed it.
Well, he does sometimes like lie about weird things. Like he's like, I never called John McCain a loser. It's like, you tweeted you called him a loser.
Well, you know, maybe he was. I don't know. No, I look, I have.
But hold on. So I want to clarify that.
Sorry.
Trump called McCain a loser in reference to him losing in 2008. So I think he wasn't saying like, what a loser as a derogatory.
Right.
Like, he wasn't kind of being like, well, he was a loser because he lost, which is an insult. But either way, like he said those words, you know. But he does kind of just sometimes you're like, bro, we know you said it. You know what I mean? What are you doing? Just roll with it. But you know what the funny thing about that Laurel Yanni thing is?
Yeah.
And also there's the black and blue or gold and white dress.
Sure, yeah.
You know the funniest thing about the whole thing is? There's nothing spectacular about that thing in any way. There is no psychological phenomenon. You know why that was happening? People have different phones. So when you listen to the word Laurel with a phone with no subwoofer, with a very just like a really high pitched microphone like on a crappy phone, you hear Yanni. But if you had a good phone, it was expensive, you heard Laurel. The same thing was true with the black and gold dress and, the black and blue and the white and gold dress. Depending on if you had the filters on your phone, like a blue filter or whatever, you would see a shadowed white and gold. And if you're looking on a computer, you'd see something slightly different. And so all of these people are viewing the same thing through different lenses and different devices and then being like, you're wrong. I know for a fact it's this.
How interesting.
And then it became like, but think about that. And then think about, do you remember when Jim Acosta brutally just like beat that woman in front of everyone? I'm kidding. Do you remember?
Oh, I missed
Do you
that.
remember when Jim Acosta he yanked the microphone from the
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden there was a Laurel Yanni phenomenon where I had this like high profile journalist hit me up because I tweeted Jim Acosta clearly, like, I can't remember exactly what happened. It's been a long time. But what I think happened was she grabbed the mic and he was pushing her hand away at the same time. So it pulled her forward a little bit. And then I had someone message me like, are you seriously like believing that's what happened? Can't you watch the video? She yanked it from him. And I'm like, first of all, even if she did, so what? It's the White House's microphone.
Right.
And Jim Acosta shouldn't be death gripping a microphone and refusing to back down. But you can actually see what it looks like happened is he's holding it. And then when she goes to grab it, he pushes her arm or he tries to push it away, which pushes her arm and then makes her body move forward. Something like that. Or his body, I guess.
Right.
I can't remember exactly what happened. But I was like, it could be very simple in that everybody has a different device with different resolutions, with different frame rates, and different people were literally seeing different video displays.
Well, one thing, the Nick Sandman thing was like, if you knew he was just smiling because he was nervous, it looked different than if you thought he was getting in the dude's face.
That's another really good example. people's biases altered their perception of what was even going on.
Dude, all the time.
Yep.
Like-
So Donald Trump, you actually, a really good example is there's this famous comic where it's a camera. There's like a camera guy filming, and then in the lens of the camera, you see someone shocked, like screaming, and there's like someone holding a knife. But then the bigger picture is someone running away, and the other person's holding the knife. So it's like the image was distorted by how they framed it. So it's a reference to framing in media. So when you have Nick Sandmann, all the people who hate Trump immediately were like, we know exactly what that is. And they didn't stop to think. And so that came out in the news. Oh, they have to pay out settlements because of it. But I think,
Womp womp.
they should pay more.
I'm so sorry, CNN. Oh, you poor people.
I know.
My goodness.
Did you see this? My favorite thing is Jim Acosta tweeted the other day, Donald Trump finally condemns white supremacy on
I know
Hannity.
where you're going with this.
But then in 2017, the tweet from Acosta where he's like, Donald Trump denounces white supremacy and the KKK.
I actually marked that down for a
racism
video.
is evil. Congratulations. It's like I have to wonder if these journalists have the memory of a goldfish or if it's on purpose.
Well, it's this whole thing with John Roberts the other day when John Roberts is like, look, can you say now he's talking to the press secretary, and the press secretary is basically she can't make a decision for Trump.
She doesn't dictate for the president.
She can't say, like, it's like, does Trump does he condemn it? And then she goes, yes, he definitively does. Instead, what she said was, here's multiple examples of the president condemning like the people you want to condemn. Here, and then she's like, oh, back in this date, he said this. And then he goes, but can you say right now that he condemns it? It's I just read you, like, how many times you could have him condemn it, like every hour on the hour, and it would never be good enough for these people.
I know, right?
So what people need to understand about Kayleigh McEnany, she doesn't speak for Trump. So when a journalist says, does Donald Trump right now condemn it?
Exactly.
She goes, let me read you a quote from the president. No, I want to know now. She can't be like, yes, I hereby, on behalf of the president, announce a quote for him from my mouth.
And instead, she's saying, this is when he said these things. These are the dates. Multiple times.
Oh, I'm so sick of this.
How many more times does he need to say it?
Every hour.
Does he? Yeah. Does he need to does he need to do like a video?
Look,
and
this is going to help him. I think this absolutely is going to help him win. You know why?
But people still believe it. People,
yes.
But
people
listen, now think that he's still a racist, and he's still like, even the Proud Boys. The Proud Boys are not white supremacists.
I know.
They're not white supremacists. So it's like, fine, you want to condemn them, whatever. Right?
There are a lot of things to be criticized, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I don't think that violence. Look, they seem like, a lot of them seem like decent guys, right? That's fine. But I don't think that going down to a place to say, okay, well, there's going to be these there's going to be these protesters, so let's go down and see if some trouble happens.
Well, they don't. But so here, what they do is, we're going to go to Portland and have a free speech rally or march. And it's like, you do know what's going to happen if you go to Portland, right? Well, we're allowed to do it. That's true, you are. But you do know what's going to happen if you go do that, right? Well, to be fair, I was very critical of them over the Portland thing, and then nothing happened.
Right.
But it's almost exclusively that Antifa starts fights with them. That's almost always how it happens. But the argument, I guess, is if you go to a place where you know a bunch of crazy people are going to start fighting you, like at a certain point, like what you got to understand about car accidents is that failure to avoid an accident is actually your fault. So you're familiar with that, right? Do you know that? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people don't realize this. They think if someone rear ends me, then it's their fault no matter what. Actually, that's not true. If there's a witness like, that car was like down the street and this guy sat there and didn't move when this guy was coming forward,
right?
Like parked, like failure to avoid an accident can be your fault. But I guess the big challenge of the Proud Boys is just like, where do you draw the line in saying, I won't go and have my rally because the hecklers veto? So there's a challenge there. Look, I don't want to go off on a big thing on the Proud Boys because we're talking about, Trump and the journalists, and we got to finish the John Roberts thing. But they're not white supremacists. We can have a conversation about the morality of going to places like Portland where you know that left will act a fool, and the right for you to do it peacefully without having people attack you, for sure. But the John Roberts thing was funny because he's trying to get Kayleigh McEnany to issue a Trump quote live in real time with Trump not present, which she can't do.
Right.
And then when she said, let me read you the quotes from the president, and he's like, yeah, but what about now? And she goes, I can't do anything but read these things to you. And then he gets attacked on Twitter and got all triggered about it. Went on TV and he was like, I don't care. I just don't. It had to be asked. No, it didn't. It was asked over and over again. I'm so sick of it. But listen, the main point is it's going to help Trump. You know why? I understand. You're saying there are people who believe Trump's a racist and he won't denounce this stuff. Yeah, but those people weren't going to vote for Trump anyway. And I'd imagine a good portion of them know that the whole argument is BS and are just like, ooh, here's my chance to lie to convince more people that Trump's bad. But regular people sitting at home are probably like, what's it talking about? What's a Proud Boy? Is that like an LGBT? I don't know what they're talking about. This is ridiculous.
Well, now they hear Proud Boy. You know, Trump won't denounce the Proud Boys, so that must mean that they're bad.
Right. And now,
not everybody saw that segment on CNN where
Enrique Tarrio.
Yeah, it was one of the commentators was like, well, they're kind of like a Fight Club, you know, kind of trolls. You know,
Like,
they say they're not white supremacists, and she wasn't trying to say like, well, they say they're not, but you know. Or they're a hate group, you know, like, well, Trump told them to stand by, so of course you know that they're bad.
I think Trump misspoke. I think he was
yeah, I think so.
I think he was flustered and he wouldn't shut up. Okay, so I know I said that and people were like, dude, Joe Biden was lying, and I'm like, I know Joe Biden was lying, and then Trump was like, wrong, no, and like jumping in.
Two things can be this true at the same time.
Trump needs to let Joe Biden speak. You know why? Because he can't. The more Joe Biden speaks, the more he goes. And with Trump cutting him off, Joe was probably like, whew, thank you. How many gaffes does Joe Biden put out per minute? Mm-hmm. The more Trump speaks, the less gaffes from Joe Biden. There were several instances in that debate where Biden was like, 20 million, 19, Joe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let him go for it. Trump can, yes. Joe, speak more, please.
I want the White House to come out and say, look, it turns out that the president was feeling under the weather and he just wasn't his old self. Like he was just a little more, he just wanted to get in there, and he was just a little bit more triggered than normal. And that's it. And just say, normally he's not like this, because he's had good debates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you have to also remember that in the first debate with Hillary, he did not do great. He was off his game.
He was off his game this time too, for sure.
He definitely was off his game.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. I remember
missed so many
tweeting, I was
cues.
like, come on, just like Trump needs to calm down. And it's true. And if there happens to be a second or third debate, and who knows at this point,
Yeah.
who knows if there's even going to be a vice presidential debate. Lydia earlier was saying that maybe for like a national security reason, that you might not want to put Mike Pence in a situation where he could be exposed.
That's a good point.
So, and it was a great point, and it makes a lot of sense. And I really do want to see a vice presidential debate, because I would like to see like a debate.
Yeah.
And Mike Pence he's really good on the debate stage.
I think he's going to demolish Kamala Harris.
I think so too.
And I know like it's cliche of Tim Pool to rag on the Democrats, but think about Kamala as she is so fake. She's just such a fake person wearing Tim's. Tupac's the greatest rapper alive. Lady, it's been 30 years. What are you talking about? Did she like Google, like she went to like a GeoCities website and
what is the best rapper alive?
Somehow she ends up on a website with like a gif of Macho Man Randy Savage doing like the peanut butter jelly dance, and there's like really crappy Comic Sans writing, and it's like Tupac's the best, and she's like, that's good enough for me. Remember when she like claimed to listen to rap that didn't come out when she was in college? Like, she is plastic. Now Mike Pence is a lot of things, but he's a politician. You know, he's a well, I don't know what the right word is, but a suit, a square. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean like he's a stodgy, normal, professional kind of down tone kind of guy.
I mean, I think a lot of people know that already because if you remember the first coronavirus briefings, you'd have Trump going on there. He's like, blah, 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 blah. And then Mike Pence comes on. He's like, and,
Yeah, I know, right?
He was so calm. And you're just like, Mike Pence is looking very presidential right now.
Yeah, I feel better
He's
now.
very presidential. And like I'm feeling calm now.
Yeah, exactly. It's true though.
Because you have this Dr. Birx and they seem to get along. And I actually real quick at the coronavirus briefings at the beginning, I remember he was saying he was calling Dr. Fauci, but then he would call Dr. Birx, he'd say Deborah. And people are like, no, it's doctor. It's like, it's just because she's a woman. And you're like, no, because they're like, he calls Tony. He says, he refers to Tony. You're just not like watching the whole thing. You're just like watching that
They're
5
just
second
finding
clip.
something to pretend to be mad about.
Of course.
That's all it is, man.
Of course it is. But
That's
I
why
just remember that. It was crazy.
This is why I think this kind of stuff helps Trump. The John Roberts thing, the Jim Acosta thing, is because I tell you, man, there's probably a bunch of regular people who are like, there's no way you're actually mad. There's no way you're actually mad about this.
He was mad. I don't know why.
No,
he was mad.
I mean about like he called. The guy saying he called.
Oh, John Roberts was mad.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about the people who are like he called Dr. Birx Deborah.
Oh.
There's going to be some like suburban housewife sitting there with her husband. He's going to get back from work and she's going to be like, "Who cares? What does that have to do with anything? My husband's losing his job because of the pandemic, and we need to know what we're going to do with our kids."
Well, I will definitely say that when it comes to those dumb little things, especially this. Trump didn't, like, he's condemned it 1 billion times, but he hasn't done it yet, or he won't do it now. And you're like, do you think he changed his mind?
Right. There was like a period where like Trump woke up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, like, I was wrong to denounce these groups 57 times.
Oh my goodness. What was I thinking? They're good people on both sides.
Oh gosh.
But I think a lot of, I just did a man in the street interview. I went out to California of all places, and there were people like when you talk to the Biden people, they're like, "Well, I'm voting for Biden because I want to get rid of Trump." But all of the Trump people were like, "He's being treated unfairly. He's condemned it multiple times." Like they know what they like about Trump.
Right.
They're like, "He's done this. He's done this. He's done this." So I think that the majority of Trump supporters know that that whole condemning, not condemning
It's just
thing
fake news.
is just BS.
Right.
And the more the media pushes it, the more that his base will get riled up about it.
Right.
And it's almost like you're helping him get elected again.
Look, this is the point. If the Democrats and the media just like took a second to breathe and they said, how about we nominate someone who's just calm, a populist, moderate, kind of like Trump, but not as bombastic and kind of ill-tempered, they would win. And people would be like, look, Donald Trump's talking about that border security, but so is, John Jackson. John Jackson doesn't have a potty mouth. You know what I mean? Look, I understand a lot of Trump supporters say, who cares if Trump talks this way? And I know a lot of them say they like that he talks this way.
To a point, yeah.
But I've been in Ubers, I've been to restaurants, and I hear it all the time from people who say they're voting for Trump that they wish he wouldn't talk this way.
We all say that.
Yeah.
There are some people who they're laughing and they love it. And it's hilarious and they like it.
But I don't think that they're into politics as much. No.
Those
are like the diehards.
Right. There's
Trump. People that like I would not call myself like super. I love Trump. I respect him. I respect the fact that he's doing all the things he said he was gonna do. Which is one of the reasons why the left is so freaked out.
Because these peace agreements,
he's actually getting things done. Oh my God, that peace agreement is so awesome.
3 peace agreements.
3,
mind you, sir.
And you can I'm all over the place here, but that kind of thing. Oh, but he's a white supremacist. He's a racist.
Yeah,
You're like no. You think he would care? You know, do you think he's just doing it for the Nobel Prize because he's not going to win it?
I'm just when it comes to the foreign policy stuff, I have a special like rage and triggered that I get because I'm just so sick of the fake anti-war left. There's a legit anti-war left, and I got respect for them. I disagree with them on domestic policy issues, but I respect.
Tulsi.
Right, absolutely. People at The Intercept, and there's a bunch of other individuals that are very progressive, that are very anti-war, and they're legitimately anti-war, and they have given praise to Donald Trump for the peace agreements. There are also some progressives who are like, well, this agreement wasn't good enough. And I'm like, shut up, dude. If you have the choice between the Obama administration redux and the guy who just signed 3 peace agreements, shut up and take the win. And you know what? The way I see it is, if the American people on the left are screaming because Donald Trump is, you know, a Republican and they're worried about certain social issues, I'm like, yeah, well, maybe you shouldn't have been, you know, ignoring the war machine for as long as possible. Because there's going to be a lot of people who are going to vote for Donald Trump specifically because he wants to bring our troops back and he's getting these peace agreements done. That is better for the world than you complaining about the orange man being a white supremacist. Sorry, that argument holds no water with me. Because even if it were true, I'd be like, well, guess what? America, if you think that's what you're getting, then maybe you shouldn't have voted for Obama twice. I know we mentioned this the other day. You brought up a really good point. McCain and Romney would have been a lot worse. McCain would have been really bad.
No, yeah.
But it's not so much about I'm blaming them for, you know, the fact that those are the 2 candidates we have. But if you were paying attention to what was being placed in front of you, we wouldn't be in the situation, because Donald Trump, in my opinion, is the incarnation of the anger people felt towards the establishment kicking them to curb, be it Republican or Democrat. That's another reason why Bernie Sanders did really well. You had these 2 incarnations emerging, Sanders the populist left, Trump the populist right, and Bernie Sanders is a pushover, and that's why he's out. And then he sold out to the Democrats. And then Donald Trump just started thrashing him out saying, F you. And so many people said, I just want these fake crony politicians to get out. And now here we go. Good. Donald Trump. Well, he's got peace agreements under his belt. He had a great economy before COVID. He's done good enough things for me. I say Trump's okay. I used to say this. Trump's not that bad. To quote Flecka's talks. You know Flecka, right?
Yeah.
I love that segment he does where he walks around asking people. He's like, Trump's bad, but he's not that bad, right? And then people are like, yeah, okay, I guess. It's a brilliant segment.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
And so I used to be like, he's not that bad. Like, there was that woman on MSNBC who said Trump is talking about exterminating Latinos. You remember that? Did you know that?
No.
There's a woman, she was like, Donald Trump's talking about exterminating Latinos. And it's like, what?
They always say that.
But that's particularly over the top.
Okay, that's very specific. But they're always saying that, you know, the concentration camps in the southern border,
exterminating. You know? Jeez, these people are nuts. And so I'd be like, come on, he's not that bad. That's crazy.
No, he's not. He's not.
But
they're not concentration camps, first of all, which
right.
I have heard from. Like, I've actually done another. I did a Man in the Street last year, and I had I only featured one, but I had like 3 different people come up and say that referring to these concentration camps, like. Well, they crossed the border. It's like they came here and they knew that they were going to be in these, in these detention centers. Like, they're like, if they were going to get caught. I mean, it's kind of their fault, right? But also, Oh, and can we talk about the Melania thing real quick?
Which Melania thing?
The tape.
Oh, where she was like trying to rescue the immigrant kid and they attacked her for it.
You know what, man? She said like 50 different things. Like, I don't want to be doing things on Christmas. It's like, I'm paraphrasing here. I think that she believes that it's a waste of taxpayer money and time, but like decorating the White House in Christmas stuff, which nobody likes anyway. They're always like, it's so stark. You know, and you're like, well, she took the time to do it, and if you don't like it, then she doesn't have to do it. And now they're like, she doesn't want to do it. She's terrible.
War on Christmas. Listen,
yeah.
What really bothers me with the Melania stuff is that she's not Trump. Like, she's not Donald. Okay, she is her own person.
We're not electing her.
Yeah, and she seems very lovely. She I understand why people are mad at Trump and stuff, but Melania doesn't do anything. She I mean, like, in terms of attacking people and being nasty or mean or getting into arguments, she's very nice and well-mannered and quiet.
She seems like a very classy person.
Yes.
And they were like, she ripped out the rose garden. You're not really mad about that. Shut up. Stop. Okay? It's like the craziest thing to me when I see these people say like Ivanka is such an awful person. I'm like, what?
No.
Look, I understand why you're mad at Trump, the Donald. I understand why because he says things and he makes crude jokes and comments and he's off the cuff. But the rest of you look, Don Jr. He can be a bombastic personality,
But he's not part of the administration.
right.
You know, right?
But like Ivanka seems very nice. I don't
And
understand.
she's doing it for free.
It's I think that is, there's two things that happened recently that really do show you the anger and mean-spirited nature these people have is not legitimate. The first is the obvious, the entire time bashing Melania and bashing Ivanka. Melania of all of the people involved does not deserve any of this. I understand Ivanka advises Donald and she's involved. Melania is the first lady, but what has she done? Is she like on camera attacking people and screaming? Is she? No, she like decorated and it became like a thing.
Well,
like,
she wore a jacket that was owning the libs, according to her.
Yeah.
Which just makes me love her more.
it's but it wasn't. What did it say? It said something like, "Don't you really care?"
I really don't care. Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what it said? It was,
And it's not like it was made specifically for that situation. It was like something she got at H&M.
exactly. It was
Yeah.
it was a common thing that she just bought like.
And she was just like, you know what? I'm going to wear this because...
Watch this.
Watch this.
So
I'm get on board with that.
I saw a meme post where it was like, it said something like, there's no, what was it? The socks, the cat or whatever. I don't know. Bill Clinton's dog or something, Patches, whatever.
Right.
They were like, there's no dog at the White House, no cat, no children running and opening Christmas presents. What has happened to our country? Instead of planting a garden, our first lady destroys it. And I was like, wait, what are you talking about?
So
it's so crazy.
The rose garden thing to me was really interesting because they were looking in the shrubbery, literally in the shrubbery, and they're like, "Look at this pattern. This is a Nazi pattern."
Because it had angles, and they were like,
"You want to talk
wait, it
about a
wasn't?
dog whistle? No, it wasn't. You want to talk about a dog whistle? If you're looking for that, man, I feel bad for
it's
you,
because."
son.
It's because the shrubs were at an angle, like an arrow.
Yeah.
But then there's also an outline, so they were like, it says KKK.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
She's
Yeah.
Melania. Where's she from? Slovenia? Is that where she's from?
Yeah, Slovenia.
This is insane stuff. Okay, so that's the first. The second thing is Scott Adams did a Periscope after the debate, and he's like, Trump lost my vote.
Yep.
So you know what these leftists did? They started threatening and insulting him and attacking him. It's like, what is? You won. You won. You got him. This big, well-known, persuasive Trump supporter has come out angry, and instead of saying, come over here, brother, let me get you a beer, you started screaming in his face. So then Scott tweets, I'm voting for Trump again because these people are so nasty.
Yep.
And I'm like, that. You know what, man? When people talk about Trump's attitude as like a turnoff and stuff, I hear you. But I'll take the one nasty guy over the horde of nasty guys. You know what I mean? So if there's no redemption on the left, cancel culture and this far left, whatever, I don't want to step foot in that castle. I don't want to go anywhere near those people because they're all nasty. Now, Donald Trump can say nasty things. He's not that bad in terms of even his character. He's got character defects for sure. But I can sit in the right-wing pub as a liberal and they'll buy me a beer. And they'll laugh and be like, oh, man, you're so wrong about these policies, man. But, getting along is more important.
That's a good point because, on my personal Facebook, I have a whole bunch of friends that have no idea what I do.
That you're secretly you support a white supremacist president.
Right.
And look, they have their views, whether they're misguided or just very triggered. I still respect these people. I'm still, if I saw them, I wouldn't be like, you're so stupid. I would respect their, I just respect them as people.
Yeah.
But if I came out and was like, I'm voting for Trump again, I'd just be like unfriended, like my whole thing. And it's, when I did my Last Man in the Street, I was being very nice. People were like, wow, he's just being really nice to those Biden voters. I'm like, well, it's like, well, first of all, I feel sorry for them. Yeah. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. But I'm not, when I do that kind of thing, I'm not trying to own them. I'm not trying to be like, I tricked you, but it's another, I've seen stuff where people are welcomed into these circles, or they're like, hey, it's African American guy. Like, you Trump voters, you hate African Americans, right? Like, no, come, like, have some water with us. Have a beer.
Did you see that video where the InfoWars lady is talking to this black dude? And she's like, come on over. She's like, what do you think
I think that was the one I saw, yeah.
Yeah, she's like, come on over to the Trump supporters and see what's going on. And he basically says, I don't agree with none of this, but, I want to see what it's all about. And then they hug him and they shake his hand. One lady gives him a kiss on the cheek, and she's like, as long as we get along and we're all Americans. He looks at this woman and he gets the kiss on the cheek, and he's like, oh, man, if that's what's going on in there, I'm down. She's like, let's go to the other side and see what happens. Mm-hmm. And then she goes over there and she says she's a Trump supporter, and they're screaming. And then you just see the guy's face like go blank, like, what is happening? And it's kind of sad. Like,
it is. Republicans are very tolerant people, They
want to be left alone a lot. You know what I mean?
This is where I think a lot of that polling comes from. When, you get a call on your landline and you're like, are you voting for Biden or Trump? You're like, I don't want any trouble, lady. I'm just gonna, trouble. Joe Biden,
I think like there's a lot of self-loathing going on the Democrat side since the WikiLeaks came out with Hillary kind of upending Bernie, and then them coming out with a candidate like Joe Biden that people don't even like. They're just voting against Trump.
Bizarre. Yeah.
So they don't even like themselves. They don't respect their candidate. So then they have all this bubbling anger that they end up taking out on people that aren't in their party.
Do these people smoke pot?
Hopefully.
They should.
I don't. I don't drink, I don't smoke, no tattoos, nothing. I'm very boring. But there's like, you gotta chill, man. Like, where are those hippies at to like sit them down and be like, brother?
The problem with pot is it just accentuates how you're feeling. So if you're angry and you smoke pot, you get angrier.
But I don't literally mean it. I'm just saying, like, y'all need to sit back. Like, dude, is it really the craziest thing to me is that there was I did a segment today for my main channel. There's a guy named Thomas Friedman. He's a New York Times columnist, and he was telling Anderson Cooper that we're on the verge of a second civil war. Oh, Tim said it. Because it's a meme. But I'm like, so this guy's telling Anderson Cooper, and Anderson Cooper's like, do you really believe that? And he's like, yes, it's happening here. I'm like, bro, do you really think the world is ending because of Donald Trump? You need to sit down, crack open a Bud Light, and just watch some Family Guy.
Yeah, man.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's too offensive for you now. I don't know. What do they watch these days? Modern Family. Just have a good laugh at some sitcom and situational thing. That's the Progressive show, right?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, there you go. Just calm down. Someone needs to take their phones away.
Yes.
And give them just a week with no internet and watch all of this just go away.
Oh, yeah. Gone. I like that.
That's actually a good point. That can you just imagine? I was talking to my dad about I was like, what would have happened if social media existed during the Vietnam War?
Oh, jeez.
Because everything is so amplified. I'm sure the people were very angry about being in Vietnam or just hating all of that. I mean, can you just imagine if Twitter existed back then, or Facebook, and then
people are
all these conspiracy theories and we hate the president, or we're
wishing for his death from COVID. That's freaky, man. That's freaky stuff to me.
That kind of stuff is, first of all, it's not helpful at all. Yeah. It's not helpful. It's like because you're just gonna make the other side, the opposite side, angry. Two, it's just vile, and the fact that Twitter is so selective about who they punish. For somebody says one thing against the president that's vile like that, like, well, I hope he dies, it's like, and they're very explicit about it. It's like, no, that's bad. That's something that Twitter should be reportable, right? But and then you report him, it's like, nah, it's fine.
I think I wonder, is Jack Dorsey evil? Okay, so I've met him. Obviously, I've talked to him. Mm-hmm. I've had conversations with him on several occasions. Mm-hmm. But even like since when I was on Rogan, I've talked to him periodically. Oh. And the reason why I think that he's not a good person is that what he built and what is currently happening in his name is a machine that generates hate. That's what Twitter is. Twitter is not this magical device that shares information. It gamifies being a mean person. So you'll see this now. The pundits, Like the craziest thing to me when you see these journalists, all of a sudden there's this one dude who was making fun of me, a guy I've never said a bad word about. And I DM'd him because I know I'm like, I don't understand, like, because he's clearly a progressive. And I was like, why were you insulting me in this way? I've never said a mean thing about you. Like, I'm confused. No response. It's because when you say, so this person is a dumb piece of garbage, what a moron, LOL, you get retweets, you get likes. So it creates a whole genre, the reply guy. There are people who make six figures. And I mean it. They make six figures because what they do is they wait. They keep refreshing Trump's Twitter feed until Trump tweets something, and Trump will say something like "fake news!" ! And they'll comment, "The only thing fake about the news right now is the fact that your hair is on it when they talk about you." And then they get 1,000 retweets and likes, and then they go, "Hey, thanks for the support. Here's my PayPal," and it works. So people have monetized and gamified hatred on Twitter. Facebook, not so much. Facebook, if you post something like, this person's a dick, people on Facebook aren't going to hit share. They're going to be like, well, that's weird. On Twitter, though, you screen grab someone's picture, you say, what an ugly moron, and then it gets shared like crazy and retweeted, and everyone's piling on and laughing. Twitter is literally two giant mobs that are running around smashing windows and screaming at the top of their lungs nonstop, and it's escalating and getting crazier. To the benefit of the Republicans, Twitter bans them. You know why that's a benefit? Not to the Republican who gets banned, but because Twitter is extremely strict, only the most clean-cut and respected-looking individuals stay on Twitter. There are even respectable and normal conservatives who get banned. So what you get is you have two groups, and there's the left and there's the right, and then you have wingnut crazy leftists and you have wingnut crazy right-wingers. The right-wingers are gone. The wingnuts, they banned all of the fringe elements of the right. So all you have left now are like run-of-the-mill legal observer, like lawyers and, business people who support the president. But on the left, you literally have Antifa organizing violence and riots. But that infects the mainstream leftists too. So when the only conversations among the right are like, well, I believe Donald Trump's tax doesn't go too far enough. And then you end up with, that's not a real policy, I'm just making a joke. You end up with the leftists where you'll get some, fringe Antifa person wishing death upon a political figure. Then that gets retweeted like crazy. And the mainstream leftist sees it and says, that's what people want. And then they return in kind, the same kind of vitriolic nonsense and vile garbage. Then the Democratic politicians step in and they see this is what the left is talking about. And they go for it. They go for it. So I think the fact that these social media companies are biased is actually constraining the right in a good way. While it's bad for the individual and people shouldn't be getting banned this way, as a collective, they're actually looking cleaner and more respectable than the left. I think that's why many liberals are like, I'm a conservative now, and then jumping over because they see these conservatives that are like normal looking, clean cut, respectable. And they see a left that's off the rails, is spitting, vile and vitriolic garbage at Melania and at regular people.
I really hate some of these users on Twitter that it's like you said, they wait for Trump to say something. Like they basically, their job is Twitter full time.
They make a lot of
money. Like Defiant Brooklyn Dad or Mrs. Krasenstein. Miss, yeah, I'm so sure.
That's who
I'm
that is.
so sure. And you, like the second that Trump, you're right. You're exactly right. And I don't know how they're making money. I think
they after they get a viral tweet, they link their PayPal.
Okay, well,
and they're like, PayPal me.
I hate those people so much. I hate them.
Just think about how I have to imagine these people after like the day is done and they're looking at their bank accounts, they start crying. Could you imagine like in 100 years? There's like an encyclopedia, Wikipedia, whatever, or like Neuralink knowledge network. And then people are like, yes, Brooklyn Dad, he's famous for constantly complaining to President Trump. He never contributed anything of substance other than generic complaints about Trump's general behavior.
Valuable.
But he is well known for this and frowned upon.
What have we become?
And that's their legacy. You know the story of the Nobel prizes that Alfred Nobel invented dynamite. And so then someone published his obituary early and they called him the Merchant of Death. And when he saw it, he panicked and he was like, is that what I am? So then he immediately was like, I got to do something better with this, and then created the Nobel Prize or whatever. I think that's the general story. That was it, right?
Man, I don't know. I think he was also an arms manufacturer. Which
Was that it?
Maybe how he got
I think that was part of it, yeah.
notoriety. I don't know much about him. I'd love
But
to go
it was
deeper
something
on
like that. So he like panicked because they accidentally published this, and he realized his legacy was garbage, and he was like, I don't want to be that. I don't want people to look back and say like, this is what the person did.
Do that more.
So I wonder, these people who are on Twitter, man, I'll tell you what, dude, there's a guy I know, he's a journalist. He was a journalist, and he was an okay journalist. And then he started figuring out that when he replied to Donald Trump, he started getting a ton of followers. And he messaged me one day and he was like, dude, I gained like 5,000 followers, like, because I've been tweeting at Trump. And I was like, bro, don't do it, man. Do not go down this road. Listen, I was like, a lot of people are just like, you're in a crowd of people screaming and throwing feces at a wall. That's what it is. There's nothing of substance. Trump isn't even there. Like, they think they're yelling at Trump. Trump's not there. In their mind, they're walking up to him and going like, hey man, F you, Trump, which you're allowed to do by all means. But in reality, you're walking up to a brick wall with a picture of Trump's face on it, and you're screaming and you're all laughing and high-fiving each other. Meanwhile, the president's doing whatever. He's not reading your comments. I warned him. I don't think he can find work anymore. Because I remember there was a couple people I talked to who had gone down this road. And I was like, they're like, hey man, I'm really looking for work and wondering, like, you know, your companies are doing well. I'm wondering. And I was like, bro, I can't hire you. Are you crazy? Like you're generating followers off of just saying dumb things to Trump. There's no substance in what you do.
Yeah.
Your resume right now is that you're a guy who complains to the president with generic insults. There's no job for you anymore, bro. So some of these people actually deleted their accounts. No joke.
Well, here's a question. Continuing on with this legacy, what happens when? What happens if Joe Biden wins? What happens?
I'm gonna laugh.
Well, first of all,
hilarious.
I'm gonna cry for America.
No way, dude. You gotta listen. We're all in this big boat, and we're going just downstream. There's a waterfall in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a waterfall on one side and like a Category 5 rapid. It's gonna be bumpy, but like one's, you know what, man? For those brief seconds as Biden gets elected, I'm going to be sitting in the back of that raft while everyone's screaming, and I'm going to crack that beer and be like, here we go, baby. Right off the waterfall.
If Biden wins, it will be so bad for 4 years. Everyone in the country, the people that hated Trump, that didn't want to vote for Biden but did it anyway, are going to hate him so much that anyone can win in 2024.
That'll be interesting.
Well, okay. So first of all, when I say cry for America, I don't necessarily mean like for the republic or democracy. I'm talking about just like how dumb people are to be actually voting for Joe Biden.
That's why I would laugh.
But I mean, yeah, and I think ultimately it'll be one of those situations where it's like, well, we look back on it and laugh, and that's true. But what happens to the Washington Post? What happened? What happens to look what happened with the Washington Post, where they basically built an entire journalistic team to investigate Trump. Like that's their job. That's all they do. You think they're going to have one for Biden?
Nope.
No, of course not.
You know Ryan Long, right?
Yes.
So for those not familiar, he's a comedian. We had him on the show. He's hilarious, but he did a segment, a skit, where it was like, it's a newsroom and they're sitting around and it's election night and they're like, Biden, Harris, woo, yeah. And then it's like a month later and they're all sweating and like, what do we write about? There's nothing to do.
That's
What do
true.
we write? What did we write about before? I don't even remember. It's all they do now. And what's really funny is, what people don't realize is, I think if Trump doesn't win, they're gonna keep going.
Oh,
They're gonna find a fill-in for what Trump is. So they're gonna say like the alt-right or something. Like they've done it before, but that's what they'll go for. And I mean, they can't give up the machine. You know what I mean? They've created it. It's
But
not
then
going
what
anywhere.
happens to all these personalities or whatever, like Mrs. Krasenstein?
reply
That
guys,
just
yeah.
reply
that
guys.
just makes me funny. Makes me laugh. Like what happened? Like
Well, hold on. For people who don't know, it's because there was originally two guys called the Krasenstein brothers who would reply to Trump all the time, and they got banned. And now
because they were manipulating the numbers of their followers, apparently.
I don't know. I
that's
don't believe it. I really don't. I think
Why would they get banned?
why would Milo Yiannopoulos get banned for the same reason? Milo Yiannopoulos got banned. They said he had multiple accounts.
Just
They say
their
that about
excuse.
everybody.
Yeah.
It sounds like bunk BS. So I don't know why they got banned. I'm not going to accuse them. If Twitter doesn't release evidence, then as far as I'm concerned, Twitter can't prove anything.
Okay,
they banned the guy.
that's fair.
But these guys used to reply to Trump all the time, get banned. All of a sudden, their wives pop up, or like the wife pops up or something. Is that
The
is that-
mother?
Yeah, and if you look
Is
at
it the, is it
I
it's
don't
the
know.
mother?
I think it's the mother. I think.
and if
Miss-
you look at the profile picture of Mrs. Krasenstein, it's just like the deadest eyes.
Oh, I don't want to rag on.
wearing a mask that says Biden 2020 or
I,
whatever.
no,
you're
I
saying.
think
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it is like someone.
Helen
you know,
Krasenstein.
yeah, yeah.
That's what made me think it was the mom.
Oh, the mom.
I don't know.
Yeah, no.
But I doubt that this person is actually who they say
What-
they are. That's my point.
You know what really bothers me about a lot of this is that I think like it was Joe Biden who said, you know, can you imagine not having to think about Donald Trump ever again or something? Like that's a part of his campaign. Like it'll be over.
Close your
No,
eyes.
no. Hold on. You don't get to scream as loud as possible in my face, Donald Trump, while bashing me over the head with like a foam hammer. And then you're like, don't you want it to stop? Don't you want it to stop? Just make me president and it'll stop. I'm like,
a threat.
no.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, okay, Donald Trump, punch this guy in the face and get him out of my face. I'm not going to give you power because you've been screaming at me for 4 years. Dude, the New York Times won 2 Pulitzers for Russiagate.
This kills me.
It's not even real. Like, dude, you know what's funny? People are like, well, they won Pulitzers because they covered the story as it was known at the time. Here's my description of this. If I said to somebody, I would like to pay you $100 to mow my lawn, and they go, you got it, champ. And then an hour later, I walk outside, and the guy across the street from me has his lawn mowed. I'd be like, you did an amazing job. Award-winning even, but it's not my lawn. You did the wrong job. You can say that journalism was great, and they investigated, and they did the wrong thing. It's like, if I said, could you carry this, you know, sack of heavy stones into my basement? And then they walk off and carry it a mile away. I'm like, well, you carried it a lot farther than I wanted you to, but I have no idea where you were going or why.
But good job. Good job.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, I'm
You know-
award winning.
You'll win it. And no, but you know what really happens? It's like I hire this guy to mow my lawn. I come out an hour later, my neighbor's lawn is mowed, and then his buddy walks over and goes, whoa, good job. Here's an award, and high fives him. That's what the Pulitzer Prize is. They're awarding themselves for they're not even covering a real story. Could you imagine if they actually investigated and they're like, whoa, this is fake? Instead,
and nobody calls on the Times to go, you know, you kind of got all that wrong. You should maybe give that thing back, you know, just
Two
for
of 'em.
journalistic integrity. But
maybe the Iraq War was the time they should have hung their tie up and said, well, America,
we
we're
messed
out.
that up. Yeah.
I mean, I don't
20
get
years.
to pull. Look, they gave a
Graham.
rap album Pulitzer.
Really?
Yeah, they gave what's his name?
Was it Common? Not Common.
No.
I gotta look this up.
You guys know
I
in
gotta
the
look it
chat.
up.
The chat's going
I'm
to
sure the
light up and
chat
they're going to be like,
knows.
we know it is.
Yeah, it's I mean, it was a good album. That I can't remember the name of.
Pulitzer Prizes go to fiction
But
as well.
it went to a rap album. I'm like, really? Like
No, but
I
that's
mean, okay.
normal. Yeah, it goes to broadcast. It goes to music.
Yeah, but
I'm just saying, how do you win an award for fake news and then brag about it? And then they announced we're going to shift from Trump and Russia to Trump and racism, and then whoop, now all of a sudden everything's Trump's racist.
Well, and then it went to, you know, Trump and COVID, and then Trump back to Trump and racism. So they're throwing everything at the wall,
Except the kitchen sink. Is that the phrase?
Yes.
Seeing
That's
what
sinking.
sticks.
Here's a question for you, Tim. We had 25, 26 Democratic candidates.
Did we have that many?
It was a lot.
It was so
It was
many.
it was
Too
a lot.
many.
Would you say it was Bernie's fault?
In what way?
Well, Bernie Sanders, he divided the party clearly in 2016. He's an independent. He's an independent guy. If you go on his page, he that's his thing. He touts that. And he pushed so much of the party to the left. And so many people were like, well, you know, Hillary stole the election from Bernie, which I don't quite believe in, or the DNC, and that's why a lot of people...
they cheated, man. They were giving questions in advance. That's an obvious one.
But it all comes down to votes.
Right.
And he couldn't get the turnout. And that's, you know, even
Right.
even in the earlier states, like he didn't win a state, right? In 2016?
Did he?
No, he
he
did.
Yeah, he won Michigan, I think,
Yeah.
didn't he?
But
Oh, no, wait.
I'm sure. Okay, he won a few, but he didn't. Overall. But then you have so many people coming in that were on the left. They had all these. They were co-opting a lot of Bernie's ideas. And now you're spreading everything out. You have 25, 26 people that have all these. Well, I like this thing about Bernie, but I don't like this. I like this about Bernie, but I don't like this.
I don't think
Castro.
It's Bernie. Because Bernie's positions don't even, like, Bernie gave up on most of his positions. Like, Bernie and Trump had a lot of the same positions in 2015. It's true. You can actually look up all the old stories where they say, like, Bernie Sanders and Trump are remarkably similar. Bernie Sanders was pro-border security. He was anti-free trade agreement. He was talking about the working class. Very, very similar. I think there were like 6 major bullet points that I think Newsweek or some outlet put together where they were like, wow. The difference was Bernie was very left on a lot of, welfare issues, and Trump was not. Trump was more right. And ultimately, Bernie just gave in to the establishment and then started spewing whatever garbage rhetoric the talking points were given to him. What I think happened, because I experienced this when I worked for the ABC News Univision company, the marketing people were seeing skewed data on social media from identitarianism and believing it represented America when in fact it just represented angry people. But so what happened was they were like, I was actually told this, moms share the most and they share the most when they're angry. So that's what our target is. Get as many shares as possible. So make, middle-aged mothers angry. So they start pumping out this content. Then they think that's the most valuable person because they'll share 10 times more. That means more traffic. So the demographic was like, it used to be the 18 to 35-year-old man. Now they're like, yeah, 18 to 35-year-old man's worth more to an advertiser, but a woman will share 10 times as much if she's angry. So what happens then is, I'd imagine this similar narrative made its way to, say, like Bernie Sanders. And they probably started telling him, you're not going to win if you go for the populist working class message. You need to condemn white people. So Bernie Sanders literally did that on stage. Do you remember this? When he said, if you're white, you don't know what it's like to be poor. You don't know what it's like to live in a ghetto. That was like a shocking moment for me because like Bernie Sanders all of a sudden betraying the working class in the Rust Belt who are predominantly white. Why would he say that? Of course they know what it's like to be poor. They live in poverty because the factories all left.
He did get more. Well, unfortunately, he was competing with all these other people who were co-opting a bunch of ideas, and then he was just like, "Well, I need to go even further left." I think that's what his people were saying.
Oh, definitely.
And that's how we get to Joe Biden, because everybody seems so crazy when you have Julian Castro saying, "Oh, but we're going to decriminalize the border," when you have Bernie Sanders at a town hall saying, well, we can't let everybody in. That's crazy.
Joe Biden now is a Picasso of policy. Like what was the thing he said, that the Green New Deal is like the framework for like his.
For Joe's, yeah.
And then he was like, I don't support that. That's not my plan. I beat the socialists. Pick one, Joe.
I am the Democrats.
yeah, he said that, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. But
I am the Senate.
And if you exactly, I am the Senate.
Yes,
I love
Biden.
that. The Emperor is the best part of those movies. But no, he is really. He's the best. But let's. Now I'm thinking of Star Wars.
Oh, sorry.
Well, don't worry. Star Wars died a long time ago.
Yeah.
Well, let's say that. Oh, okay, Joe Biden. Yeah, in his climate plan on his website, it says that the Green New Deal is a framework. It said that, and I'm just waiting for them to kind of surreptitiously
remove it,
edit that page, because I have it ready. I have a screenshot. It's in the archive already. I was just totally waiting for that to happen, because when he said, "Oh well, I have my," and he also said, "I have my own Green New Deal," like. No, not really.
Yeah.
If Joe wins, they're gonna put him in a wheelchair, put a blanket on his lap, and wheel him into the sunroom, and he's gonna bow his head and go.
Yep.
And then Kamala's gonna walk in and be like, "Okay, who are we putting in prison?"
He's gonna call it on it. Yeah, his whole presidency.
Yeah.
Man.
I genuinely don't believe that Joe Biden would be president. I think most people agree with that. There's even like there was a
everybody knows this.
Right. There was a sign. It was really funny that went viral. It says Harris in big bold letters, but the I in Harris is a tiny Biden, and it says 2020.
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, everybody knows. Everybody knows.
Everybody knows. It's the worst kept secret. I mean, especially since for most of last year, when people would say, well, are you going to serve out a second term? Do you think you would run for a second term? He's like, well, we haven't gotten there yet. Like, who would say that? Everybody's like, well, of course I would want to, run all 8 years. And they don't,
He doesn't want to run.
Well,
didn't he say he was a transition?
But could you imagine him campaigning again in 4 years?
He's 81.
Campaigning again, still with the mask, still out of his basement. You know
what his campaign slogan's going to be in his second term?
No.
I put my pants.
Oh my gosh.
That's a South Park reference, by the way.
Yeah.
That's totally right.
Grandpa.
You made it your own. It's
Yeah.
fine.
I made it my own. With all due respect, man, there's a certain point at which you can't be in the big leagues anymore. There's periods where pro athletes who are really, really good realize that their stats are getting weaker, their reaction time's getting slower, and then you get these up and coming youngsters who are dominating the field, and they bow out. In skateboarding, we have a thing where they say when you start off, they call you an amateur, even though you're getting paid. Then eventually you get your own signature model, your pro model. Then you're a pro. It's interesting because pros actually tend to be not nearly as good as amateur skaters because the AM level people are fighting as hard as possible for that slot. Once you go pro, you're legit. You're on tour. You got your own model. It's selling. You're getting a bunch of attention. Then there's legend status when you're not good enough to hang with the pros anymore because you're old. You're in your 40s. You're still really good. There's a bunch of former they're still pros, but they call them legend. They recognize they're not competing with the 19-year-olds in the big leagues anymore. It's a natural part of our lives, man. Joe Biden, it's time to go home. Mm-hmm. Crack open a nice book. Or I'm you know what? Right There and Back Again. That's what you're going to do. You're going to go and you're going to sit down and you're going to write There and Back Again by Joe Biden. Baggins. Yeah.
Well, if Joe Biden would have run, if he would have run in 2016 against Hillary and against Bernie too, obviously, do you think Biden would have had the chance to beat Hillary?
Yeah.
If Obama came out and said, "This is my boy,"
yeah, I think
he wouldn't have done that. Obama wouldn't endorse Biden.
I think Biden, Obama, and Hillary all
he endorsed
decided
him
that
now.
it was
You
gonna be Hillary.
You say Biden?
Yep.
Did
That's
I
what
say
I heard.
that?
You just said Biden.
I
Obama.
say Biden,
Yeah.
Obama, and Hillary all decided which of the two of them was going to run, I think. And they were like, Hillary wants it more. She's a woman.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
He
I'll
didn't
tell you
even
why.
run.
Joe Biden came out in the Rose Garden with Obama, and this was months after Beau, his son, died, and he said that that he wanted to run, but it was too late to run a successful campaign, and that was it. People thought that he would run, and I remember working in a newsroom where we were all kind of like, is he going to make an announcement this week? And then he came out and he said, I don't think I could run a successful campaign. And that was it. And because, he was sad about his son.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't blame him, man.
But he would have run. I don't think Obama gave a crap that he didn't promise Hillary anything.
Yeah.
He didn't promise her a damn thing. And if Biden would have wanted to run, I think Obama would have given him the all clear. And it's like, we're going to continue the Obama administration, essentially.
Yeah.
I just got to say, man, if Biden wins, can't you guys recognize how hilarious it's going to be? He's gonna be negotiating with Iran, and he's gonna fall asleep, and he's gonna
He won't negotiate. He'll walk out of the room. That's the problem.
No, I don't think he'll walk out of the room. I think they're gonna
He'll
be
send Stacey Abrams, his Secretary of State.
Governor of Georgia.
He'll send her over to Iran, and it'll be fine.
he's gonna be in a negotiation, and he's gonna be like, come on, man, we got to make sure the trade, and then he's going to wake up, and there's going to be a signed treaty on his lap. He's going to be like, oh, bro, what happened? I'm like, you signed the treaty. We're good.
I did it.
Thank you. Goodbye. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. And then it's like, you will give $3 trillion to, in cash,
Basically the Iran deal
unmarked
again.
bills.
Yeah, pallets
Yeah,
of
exactly.
cash.
Pallets of cash.
Yeah.
Such a terrible diplomat.
It's going to be hilarious when he's doing like State of the Union addresses, and he's going to be like, there's going to be could you imagine the pandemic under Biden?
It's going to be the first Zoom State of the Union address.
No. I'm saying like, imagine if he was giving a speech on like banning travel to China or something, but with his gaffes. my fellow Americans, I banned, we banned, Europe.
Wait, we banned Europe? What?
The coronavirus is a serious problem, and and then people are going to be sitting at their homes, just like
my
staring
gosh,
at the
what?
screen
What's
with like a
happening?
remote. Their eyes are going to be like wide open, just like I have no idea what's happening right now.
Stock market.
And then, like, all of a sudden, like, a nuclear plant explodes because Biden was supposed to be warning Americans about it. And then people are just like, all right. I don't think the world's going to end. And I think if you thought Trump was hilarious, because he personally is making jokes, you got to recognize the, like, Benny Hill music themed Biden slipping on banana peels is going to be a very hilarious presidency as well. You know what I mean? And he's like running around and just all the bumbling, fumbling buffoonery of a Biden campaign.
Funny, like a guy running around with his hair on fire.
Yeah.
And then he falls on his knees as his scalp starts melting.
Yeah,
dude,
it turns into
that's a little bit
horror
more
movie.
brutal.
Because it's not really funny. Like,
Yeah.
you laugh at first, but then
And
you
you start
realize,
crying.
oh
Yeah.
my God,
I'm in a
he's
nightmare.
on fire.
I'm dying.
Well,
Yeah.
let's say this. Let's say that Biden is elected president of the United States. That doesn't scare you. I don't know what will, but
Let me pause too.
but-
I am joking. Like, I think it's going to have a serious negative consequence on the working class and people's jobs.
Well,
And his negotiating power is low. He will go to Russia and try and negotiate
Put
with
it
Putin,
mildly.
and Putin will be like,
He walks out of the
come
room
on,
naked.
man. He'll just leave. He'll be like,
he walks out of the room naked and he's like, that was a great deal. And Putin's got like everything he
All
owns
his
and
clothes.
he's got the keys to America.
Oh my
He's like,
gosh.
we got everything.
Yeah,
like
those
Trump
keys.
does have an ego, but Biden has a massive ego.
I'm hoping for two things. One, that he's going to do all these executive actions, and hopefully they will be challenged. Like when Kamala, sorry, I don't want to be that
Racist.
person. When they were saying that that she would do executive actions on guns and executive actions on Medicare, like, I'm going to give Congress 100 days. I don't think the Senate's going anywhere. I think that the Republicans are going to keep the Senate. So there's going to be checks and balances, at least for the first 2 years. I don't think that if Biden is elected, it is going to be as devastating as some Republicans would think, just because we have that firewall in the Senate. And who knows, we could gain a seat in the
You think
Senate.
so?
It's possible.
Wow.
It's possible. I don't know about the
Don't
House.
don't the betting odds have the Democrats for everything? Like to just sweep and control it all?
But that's these polls. You cannot trust these polls.
Sure, but
At all.
doesn't a part of you just kind of wish for it to be true so that you can take like the black paint under your eyes and rip your sleeves off and then join the resistance and like go underground
actual
and
resistance.
fight back against the Terminator? I'm kidding.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like that.
That's the plan.
I think if Biden wins, in all seriousness, most people aren't going to notice. There's going to be a few things here and there. I think it'll be really bad for us in the long term.
Oh, sure.
In the long term. So that's going to be the erosion of our manufacturing base will resume. The international trade agreements that saw our jobs being shipped overseas will resume. But what Obama and Biden were doing that was clever was they were doing it very slowly.
Oh, Biden and Obama.
Oh, Biden,
Yeah,
Obama.
oh, Biden, Obama.
The Biden-Obama administration.
Yes.
It was a slow erosion where people felt like there was just very slow growth, but very slow growth is better than total collapse. But we don't even make our own medicine. When the pandemic hit, it was like, wow, how weakened were we? We go back to that.
That's crazy.
If Joe Biden wins, you may not notice immediately. You may not notice in 4 years. In 4 years, someone else might win. But in 10 years, you'll be wondering what happened to your children's future.
Yep.
Well, there's a couple things that I'm concerned about. The left wing of the party, of the Democratic Party, is like, well, we want to go to this clean economy, this green economy, get rid of fracking, get rid of fossil fuels, get rid of no more drilling. And Biden's like, no, we can't do that. We can't stop that. There needs to be a transition. There needs to be this. But if this November suddenly the House and the Senate are run by Democrats, and suddenly these people like Joe Manchin, who's like a big energy guy, he decides to flip and change his mind and say, yeah, I like this Green New Deal stuff. Do you think that if Joe Biden received a bill on his desk to ban fracking, that he would just do it? He would do it. He would do it in a heartbeat. He would be like, this is the opportunity.
Yeah.
Because climate change is our existential crisis. Well, that and racism. We need to end racism.
I think Joe Biden's just like, tell me what to say. I'm so tired.
But he could potentially sign those things.
He will.
He says he won't end fracking,
but he already
would
said
do
he
it.
would.
Yeah, he said he would.
So at first he said he would. Then he
He's
said
all over the place.
He's a Picasso of policy. It's like none of it makes sense. But you've got these Green New Deal people. I love one of the greatest things. Remember when Greta Thunberg called for the mass execution of 20 million people across, in Europe and America? Okay, she didn't say it like that.
Right.
She just said, terminate all fossil fuels now, which would be the death of, 20 million people or so. They don't get it. It's like they live in a cartoon world where it's like they're simply like, if we're using too many fossil fuels, just stop using them.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden people freeze to death and people starve. Like they don't realize the demand for this stuff isn't because someone's spinning around in donuts in their Lambo, like just burning off, hundreds of gallons of petroleum. It's because there's a demand for food production and heating people's homes.
Dude, I was just looking around the room at how much plastic we have in here. There's so much plastic.
Oh, yeah. If you can't stop drilling. You can't stop oil because you need to make plastics.
Dude, people don't realize how revolutionary plastics were. They do not understand.
They don't understand. They think that, like, your phone case is made of plastic. Everything, the cameras, everything
These little
is
mic knobs.
No,
Yeah.
but for real,
everything is
computer
freaking
monitor.
plastic.
people
Yeah.
don't realize before this was like metal. Plastic was
Wood.
metal and wood.
Plastic
Plastic
would
was
catch on fire. Wood was all flammable.
Yeah,
Yep.
seriously. It wastes
People
away.
don't understand the energy return we get from petroleum, and I think it's fair to say that we have become addicted to it. We didn't, our growth is so exponential under this. So there's solutions. Nuclear energy, for instance. Can't have that though. They don't like that. That's bad.
Not in my backyard.
Yeah, not in my backyard. So when they go Green New Deal, and they're like, we're going to have free college, for some reason it's a part of the Green New Deal. When we have equity reparations or whatever, for some reason it's a part of the Green New
We
Deal.
know why.
And universal health care and guaranteed jobs, but banning all fossil fuels. Okay, where does the energy come from for any of these things? And I don't mean money. I mean the literal units of energy, the calorie, the actual unit. It's gone. So I guess what they're saying is they'll put everybody in work camps.
You need like wave power or geothermal.
No.
or
Human
solar,
labor.
Human like piezoelectric. Human. heat.
No, like
people
humans
pushing a wheel around.
Exactly.
to-
No, I'm not
to
kidding.
make,
You know,
Gulags.
yeah.
One of the things with plastic, if you're familiar with Boyan Slat, he's out in the Pacific recovering the Pacific Gyre, the
Yeah.
Great Pacific Garbage Patch. He's got like building these long strands of thread that can like capture plastic, and then they're bringing it back to shore. And it's basically the ocean.
And they're recycling it.
Yeah, the ocean current, and you can take mushrooms. There's different Pestiolopsis microspore, I think, is one type of mushroom that'll break down
it
plastic into sugar,
Yeah.
and then you can eat that sugar, or you can alloy that sugar with things like graphene to create like building materials. When we were in South America, we were gonna make 3D printing filament with it, and then 3D print like tubes and joints, and make giant domed housing with the recovered plastic. Totally feasible. We
I
just have to retrofit our economy.
I just think the Green New Deal is, it's like some seventh graders were like, the teacher said, I want you for your school project to talk about climate change and why it's bad. For my school project, I call it the Green New Deal. Ooh. Like the New Deal, it would give everyone a job. Everyone would have free health because then no one would ever be sick.
Yes.
It's like, tell me more. And then people won't be able to drive cars because cars are like really bad. And then there won't be climate change because nobody's driving cars.
Then they get an F.
All right. No, they're 7. They get an A+.
Oh, okay. They
Those are
said
some
seventh
very
grade.
complicated adult ideas that are very wrong, but A+ for
Yeah,
effort.
good job.
Well, I love that ASC totally screwed up the whole Green New Deal launch. I love it. Like,
Yes.
she's so
It's beautiful.
Farting cows.
so inept. Like, yeah, that she puts out, first of all, she didn't write that. Markey didn't write that. It was like the Sunshine Movement and it was like all these lobbyists who basically made that bill.
It was a 7-year-old who was
Right. And then
Second grade.
like, but the actual legislation, they worked really hard on that. But that FAQ, they put out an FAQ that was basically when you've heard all the things like, oh, they want to get rid of airplanes,
Farting
and
cows.
cow farts, and all these things, which they're not in the legislation. Like getting rid of airplanes is not part of that.
You think I'm joking about the 7-year-old thing? I am not. Okay, I'm half kidding. But think about when they're like,
AOC is a 7-year-old.
When they're like,
No.
we're gonna, we have to replace planes with trains and get rid of farting cows. It's like, that's like a little kid
Unicorns.
not riding, like not knowing what's really going on,
Or like not knowing how trains work, you
Right.
know, and not knowing that trains can't go to Hawaii.
Oh, that was Maisie Hirono. Yeah.
or just like to Europe. We have like very important reasons to be traveling back and forth between like New York and London, for instance.
And I don't know if I want an electric plane.
I got to tell you what, man.
Not
I
convinced.
want something
listen.
that burns fuel. I'm
if
sorry.
they created a tube that could bring you in a train under the ocean from New York to London, man, that'd be amazing. That'd be a really cool view. It'd be scary. But what's if you're in a tube in the sky that can fail, make a good tube underwater. Of
but
course,
at least I won't drown. At least, like if I'm in the air and the plane.
you're like falling to your death screaming.
Yeah.
Well,
No, listen.
we can land in the water.
The issue, that's true, and you can live.
Yeah, thank you, Sully.
The amount, the cost of building a tube to carry a train underwater is probably like ridiculous versus a plane flying through open air. And the other thing they don't realize too is that we can make like energy efficient and carbon neutral air conveyance, I suppose. I think it's funny. Well, we can get towards it. I think technological advancement and reducing the emissions from airplanes has been something that many of these companies have been working on.
Sure.
They want cheaper. They want to do.
But we're not going to do it by 2050.
The guy
I think
did-
that these things, the free market will eventually take care of it. But you can't make a deadline for these things.
No,
I mean,
right,
look
right.
at what happened with the electric cars. Remember the movie, like the death of the electric car, or what happened to the electric
Who
car?
killed the electric
And
car?
yeah, thank you. And then you're like, well, now electric cars are everywhere. Like, so we needed that technology. It's like when AOC and Bernie goes, ExxonMobil knew. They knew about the climate change. They knew. That's AOC's impression, by the way.
AOC's impersonation of Bernie.
Yeah.
They knew. No, right? So they knew, and they need to be held liable. They knew back in the 70s. It's like, okay, fine. So they knew about climate change in the 70s. So were they just supposed to stop making oil?
Yes.
Like were they that's it? We were
in the
supposed
Cold
to-
War,
Yeah, we were
the height of the Cold War.
and what happens to our trucking? Like getting stuff, products from farms, fruits and vegetables and meat. Like what are we supposed to do? Are we just like
Dude,
horses
man.
again and just
Yeah.
Yeah.
and cut?
no.
And I love
That's
that we're
animal
supposed
abuse.
and I love that
Yeah.
we're supposed. Okay, that's fair.
We got nothing.
Make
but
animals
then
do labor.
we're supposed to cut down all the wood to heat our homes, which that's even worse, right?
That's why I said Greta Thunberg called for 20 million people to die.
I think Adam had some scientists on this show on Timcast IRL, and they were talking about giant solar arrays that they're going to have above cities, and they might be geostationary, and then they beam power down to the cities. This is like top level.
Yeah, but that's got to be
global
what,
scientist, Space Force.
75 years.
5-10 years.
Yeah, 5, 10
we
years.
got this. No big deal. Yeah.
I'm sure. But that might be a nice, viable, solution or, transition.
Why don't we just make that dome that was in like the Simpsons movie
Oh, yeah.
and like put solar panels all over that? Can't we just do that?
Dude, a Dyson sphere. Duh.
Okay, let's just start with the Dyson sphere.
Yeah.
Then we'll move on.
Let's
Look how
encase
fast.
the entire sun in a massive
Oh, okay.
solar panel array that's bigger than the sun itself
Go
to
on.
harness the fusion
I
energy.
love this. I love bouncing these ideas off. It's
Such
so.
good idea.
No, stop. Listen. If I wrote up the Dyson sphere plan and I called it like the Dyson New Deal, that would be as feasible as what they're proposing with the Green New Deal.
You mean we're not going to be able to convert like 4 million houses,
All these buildings?
and buildings into like if you actually look and see what is involved to make these buildings.
retrofitting every building.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, well, where are we going to get the workers? Oh, we're just going to train them. We're just going to train everybody.
You know what it reminds me of?
Lydia, do you want to be do you want to work in construction doing retrofitting?
No way, dude.
You know,
Why?
I'm a girl. I don't know.
No, that's not an excuse. You need to do it.
No, I don't want to.
It's your government job now.
No, I don't want to.
mandated.
Oh my gosh, no way.
This reminds me of that movie. I think it's called. What's it called? Deep Impact, where they send a bunch of miners in a drill to an asteroid, and there was like this famous bit of trivia from the movie where apparently Ben Affleck asked the director,
That's Armageddon.
Armageddon.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be easier to train a bunch of astronauts to use a drill than to train a bunch of drillers to become astronauts? And they're like, shut up.
Yeah, Michael Bay, the director, is just like, yeah, shut up.
It's like, I don't care about that.
But he does.
Stupid movie.
Hey, Ben Affleck has a point though, and just as an aside, he is my favorite Batman so far.
I thought he was a good Batman.
I thought he was
pretty good.
great.
Did you guys like Michael Keaton?
Oh, yeah.
I might be biased because it was the first one I saw when I was a kid. Did you see the original?
I've seen all of them.
I liked Michael
yeah.
Keaton, but it's because it was a more comic book version of
Yeah,
like, the movie,
in
you know what I
looking
mean?
back, it was.
All I want is a Batman to be a detective first and foremost.
Yeah.
Which Christian Bale was not. He was
Right.
an idiot. and Michael Keaton was not really a detective. He was kind of a scientist with those crazy test tubes and stuff.
He was like a socialite.
But in this one, like in the Ben Affleck one, which was not a good movie, mind you.
Yeah.
I do like that he was killing people with the car. That's awesome. I'm not the traditional like, oh, Batman doesn't kill people. Like, no, he does. He does.
Just not with
He
guns.
kills bad guys. Okay, sorry, but he's a detective in that movie because he finds out where the kryptonite is. Like he's actually doing detective work, and I love that. I'm just like, oh, finally, he's a detective, you know. And he was also doing sciencey stuff, and he's a scientist. And with Christian Bale,
Just beating
Morgan
people up.
Freeman is like, okay, well, we isolated the compound. He's like, am I supposed to be understanding any of that? Like, yeah, you're a fucking scientist.
Yeah.
Somehow we ended up talking about Batman,
How did
I
we
guess.
get here? What happened?
What were we talking
Technology.
I don't know.
Talk-
The Green
oh,
New
tech-
Deal.
The Green,
Sure.
the Green New Deal being completely.
about?
Spheres.
You were talking about Armageddon, and I'm
Well,
sorry.
Oh,
I
great Ben
basically-
Affleck, great movie.
Ben
Yeah,
Affleck,
yeah, there
yes.
we go.
but we got to that because
And I did decide. I am very sorry, folks. You can't.
Aerosmith.
I fully
Anybody who
blame you.
knows me knows that I hate all these. There's never been a perfect Batman movie. Okay,
George
That's
Clooney.
fair.
Did you guys see Mallrats? Shout out
Oh
to Ben
no.
Affleck.
I as a young man, I really enjoyed Mallrats.
Have you seen Mallrats?
Of course.
Dude, what
of
a
course.
great movie.
Yeah, back then, I mean, it's a very simple.
It's,
Yeah, it's
it's
dated.
not. It's not.
Jason
it doesn't
Lee,
date well.
Jason Lee's great.
Kevin Smith.
Oh, Jason. Who did?
How-
did
how-
you want to be Jason Lee after seeing that
I
movie?
love him. I,
I
used to
didn't-
wait
I didn't-
tables
I
on him
didn't
in
know.
L.A. He's such a cool guy. Jason.
I wanted to be Jason Lee
But Jason
in Mallrats.
Jason Lee was the first pro skater to do a 360 flip in a line
Oh,
for
snap.
a pro skater segment part. We call them parts. So it was really interesting when like he's this famous celebrity and like all the skaters are like, wow, Jason Lee, like, you know, he's a skateboarder. He co-founded Stereo Skateboards, I guess. Then all of a sudden he's like this movie star. How crazy is that? How about we read super chats?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're a little
I
over.
want to go deeper into the oil thing, but I guess we just don't. I don't know enough
maybe,
about
yeah,
it.
maybe Monday.
All right, we're gonna read some super chats. Tom Shanley says, "You rock," and there's a look guitar emoji. Keep up the great work. Telling the truth is a big deal. Love your commentary, sidekicks, and guests. Oh, and Antifa is an idea, right? Yes.
Just an idea.
Ian Hall says, questions for Andrew and
What a
General
great
T.
idea.
Pole Salty Army. Did Carol Baskin kill Joe Exotic? And if so, did Epstein really kill himself? And if so, did Biden really not wear a wire? And it's not the asteroid. if it's not the asteroid, will it be the aliens? Cute dude from Ancient Aliens with the hair.
Yes.
Wow.
Aliens.
I don't know anything
So
about
many
any of that
questions.
stuff.
No. First of all, I've never actually seen Tiger King.
I have not.
I'm sorry. We
tried.
I didn't even try. I'm busy, man. I'm a one-man show. I'm a one-man band. You know, I don't have a lot of time to watch everything.
I thought it was boring.
It
Yeah.
was weird.
Like I started watching the first episode and I was like, why do I care about
I
this?
don't know.
Like, did people just pretend to like it because someone said so?
I
Greg
think
Knox
because
soap.
it was just kind of the timing. You know, it was right near
Strange
the
time.
beginning of the lockdowns and everything, and people are just like, "Wow, this is different."
Yes.
You know,
Distraction.
yeah. But I think I was watching Red Letter Media, and they were talking about like, yeah, I couldn't
Nah.
deal with it.
Regarding the asteroid 2020.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
so
This is a
Asteroid
shirt that you
aliens.
sell.
Yes.
Yeah,
And where can people buy that shirt?
At my Teespring store. It's a Teespring /store/ DontWalkRun. I have a lot of different types of material. You know, like the really nice soft one, like the really burly. No, I'm kidding. No, a lot of cool stuff. So yeah, if you don't like cats, which is my logo for some reason. You can buy the asteroid shirt. Oh, I have another one. I have the Trump thing. Man, woman, camera, TV.
Yeah.
I have that on a
Person.
shirt. I have that on a
That's
shirt too.
awesome, yeah.
And anyway, but yeah. So the asteroid. I really. Can we all agree that an asteroid would be great right now?
Yeah,
Just
I'm
to
ready.
kind of like
Let's go.
Of the right size to where it doesn't wipe out all of humanity, but it creates a Mad Max style like dystopian nightmare.
Maybe just a scare. Maybe a really terrifying scare. That's what we need.
Where you can like see this gigantic, like this 50-mile wide, just graze the atmosphere, and we're like,
and everyone
and it
thinks
pulls
we're
the
gonna
moon,
die.
and then the moon gets flung off, and we're like, ah! And
I
then, like,
love it. I
The
love it.
waves,
That
like
sounds
tidal
great.
waves.
I love it.
Anyway,
I'm crossing my fingers.
let's
for
re-
that.
let's read some more of
Do
these.
it. I just want it to be quick.
Ian Hall says, actual science. Lower CO2 emissions is seeing an increase in global temperature due to low, what is this, albedo in the atmosphere? AKA not enough crap in the air to reflect the sun's rays, but CO2 is the issue. I don't know anything about any of that stuff.
And I keep reading that CO2 is good because it'll make the trees grow more. But that's like the thing. It's like, well, the CO2 is good. Global warming's fine, but we just need more trees and less pavement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm an expert.
Yeah, like seed bombing, where you like retrofit bomber planes with seeds and then just plant like 1 billion trees a day.
Yeah.
That's what the Trump administration's doing. They're
Yeah.
planting 1 billion trees. Not with the planes.
No, okay.
Yeah, not with planes.
No,
That'd
that's
be
not
cool.
as fun.
I know.
Tasty Waffle says, did they ever say what happened in the explosion in Belarus? Who was responsible, or was it a legit accident? It was out of the news cycle real quick.
It was.
Yeah, what was
I don't
that?
know what happened with
Yeah, I don't
after
think they
that.
came up with an answer.
Wow.
It was weird.
Well, with these crazy European countries, you never know. They like to lock everything down quick.
We got a super chat for you, Andrew. It says, hey, Geeks Oasis says, hey, Andrew, love your content, man. I shared your Charlottesville hoax video several times in the past since it's the most annoying lie the left pushes. I was fuming during the debates when Trump gave them another opening, shaking my head. Yup, me too.
Ew.
Well, yeah. Look, nobody was happy with that debate. But the fact that Chris Wallace, who asked the same question, he said, will you denounce white supremacists and the KKK? This is back in 2016.
Yep.
During
and he
the
just said it.
Republican, and he said it, and it's just like, okay, so do we need to say it again and
Yes.
again and again? I guess we do.
Why don't they ask Biden? He's never done it, has he?
No.
Has Biden come out and said explicitly that he condemns white supremacy?
Richard
I don't
Spencer
think he
likes
does.
him.
Yeah, Richard
Yeah,
Spencer
he
endorsed
does.
him.
That's true. That's true. Why isn't anybody? Anybody calling him out
it's
on
because
that?
conservatives are only playing the left's rules. Could you imagine playing Monopoly with someone who keeps changing the rules, and you're like, I guess I'll keep playing?
That would be cheating.
Yes.
So-
Nail
Tried to
that
do that.
down.
They keep
what
screaming in
arguments
Trump's
are.
face. They've not asked Biden once after he received an endorsement from the most prominent white nationalist probably in the world.
Organized
Yeah.
Charlottesville. Yep.
But thanks for that super chat, and yes, I feel your pain.
Yeah, man.
Trust
All
me.
right. Rambo Joe says, just turned 19 a couple months ago, graduated from college back in May. I'm going to be a first-time voter and wanted to thank you for providing a place for dumb kids like me to get the truth when the mainstream is full of lies. Keep it up.
Impressive.
I will do so. And of course, Andrew, as his show as well, he helps cut through the vines of fake news with
Thank you.
that machete.
I try. Yeah. So as a 19-year-old and you're voting for Biden for the first time, congratulations, and I wish you all the best success.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Don't vote for. I'm kidding.
Maria Whitmer said, gonna use you for shameless girlfriend points and ask for a shout out to my BF Steven who introduced me to your vids. We love the podcast and your channel.
Cool, Steven.
Shout out to your BF Steven.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, boyfriend Steven.
Yes.
You know?
Kaleem Mim says, when Batman was first created, the original creator said that Batman is supposed to kill criminals, otherwise he would fail as a hero. He would swing from roofs and break criminals' necks when criminals poke their heads out of windows.
Ooh.
Is that real?
That's hardcore.
That's a brutal way to do it, man.
First of all, I'm glad we talked about Batman. It's very important to who I am as a person. But yeah, no, there's one comic I remember where these people are in an experiment and they're grown to be like gigantic monsters, and Batman gets in a plane and shoots at them, and not with rubber bullets, mind you.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Kills the monsters.
When they did the animated series, I don't know if that's when it started because it was a kids show.
No, it was before that, probably because of the comic book code. Back in the
heroes don't kill
50s.
villains.
Yeah, they got to tone things down.
Dude, you know what I really love about that, though? How that influenced things like the Justice Lords. You're familiar with that saga? The alternate reality where Joker. Long story short, because I haven't read the comics for sure, but it's in Injustice 2, where basically Joker drugs Superman, detonates a nuke or something, kills Lois Lane, and then Superman blames Batman because Batman would not stop the Joker. He just kept locking him up, and Joker kept getting out. Then finally, Superman like rips the heart of Joker out, and Joker is laughing as it happens because he's defeated Superman. He broke him. And then Superman becomes a tyrannical dictator who thinks only he can stop. And then he goes nuts and starts executing everybody. It's cool how policies around like obscenity and like family-friendly behavior influenced the political narrative in a sense, you know? Batman won't kill the Joker, and then the Joker does these atrocities, you know?
There's a great video game donkey video about Injustice, which I suggest you check out. So, and it'll clearly explain exactly what Tim's talking about.
Yeah. Let's see. Josh Baker says, Tim, you wonder why YouTube still allows your channel and content? You are the fifth pillar. Glenn Beck, the left's election night war game, TS at 4:45. On a lighter note, thanks for being here. I don't know why YouTube allows me to keep doing what I'm doing. It's kind of weird.
Money, 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 baby.
No, but they ban so many people so fast. But like for me, I'm just, you know.
You're not edgy.
Yeah.
People might not agree with what you say, but you're not a liar, and you're not you're not edgy. You're not a provocateur, and that's why I think that my channel is also in the safe zone for now.
Yeah,
because I'm not edgy.
But they're saying that you can't question the legitimacy of the election, you know, after November 3rd or whatever, as if I'm going to ignore lawsuits and discrepancies.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think as long as you present it in a not like a conspiracy.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, well, it's this. Oh, it's Biden's legal. You know, I don't know. I think as long as you cite your sources and you do it legitimately, I don't think that either one of us will have an issue. I think there's a lot of other YouTubers that are going to be screwed over.
Definitely. There's a lot of people who have already been nuked because they've said negative things about masks. You make one video refuting the orthodoxy on mask wearing, you're gone. Mm-hmm. Just gone.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like I've seen channels that have hundreds of thousands of subs, no warning, no strikes, just deleted overnight. And the people are like, what? Yeah, it's the way it works, man. Let's see. Mason Perry says, in regards to concentration camps and cages, despite Obama's rhetoric, whether you attribute it to legal injunctions, new transparency, or Trump's character, illegal immigrants have been treated better by Trump than Obama. Mm-hmm. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. I would agree with that 1,000,000,000%. I mean, first of all, Melania was trying to help these kids, so
yeah,
you know,
they
right away. I don't seem to recall Michelle Obama doing the same thing. I don't see her going out of her way. But no, with Trump, at least he made like a legitimate policy. You know, the asylum policy,
right?
Where, you know, if you're coming from Honduras or Guatemala, you're passing through Mexico, so already you're in a safe haven, mm-hmm. right? So,
and they got B-dubs. They got B-dubs in Mexico. Buffalo Wild Wings. I
BW3s?
I bring that up for one reason.
Yeah, there actually is a reason.
I have a reason for this.
Okay.
There was an interview done, published by Vox.com, VOX, the progressive site, where they asked one of the migrants coming in the caravan why they were coming to America, and they said, I miss Buffalo Wild Wings.
Okay. That's funny.
Legitimately said that. So I looked it up. I went to Mexico City last year. I went to Buffalo Wild Wings. It was awesome. It was really nice, comfortable, cost-effective, and I got, you know, boneless, saucy nugs.
Mm-hmm.
We don't call them wings anymore.
Wings.
You've seen that, right? The guy's complaint to the city council about boneless wings.
Oh yeah,
saucy nugs.
That's
hero.
Right. But in all seriousness, when they interviewed a lot of these migrants that were coming, a lot of them said, like, I miss these things that Mexico does have. And I think it's part of racism that is inherently in the left, where they think Mexico is like a war zone desert. Go to Mexico City is amazing. It's a city. There's like nice restaurants. It's like a normal place, you know. I don't know, but they think these people coming from Honduras going through Mexico are walking through the desert.
That they're going from one war zone into another war zone. And I'm not saying that Mexico is like the safest country in the world, which it is not. Mm-hmm. But it's not like the entire country is going to hurt somebody coming from Guatemala. Like there's still opportunities there, and if they apply for asylum there, they're fine.
It's
so
considered a safe country.
But the fact that Trump was able to negotiate that deal with all those countries and say this is how it's going to be. If you want to try and come to the United States, you have to do this first, and you have to apply properly. And
It's so weird that makes
instead of coming over the border illegally and then we throw you in a cage. You know?
Isn't it weird that just makes sense? And the left called it racist and said it was wrong.
It makes logical sense, because you can't just say, I mean, what's worse, doing the asylum policy, or, well, we have this many people in a detention center until they get their court date, which could be forever.
No, don't you understand? What they want to happen is they want, little kids with their dads wandering through the desert, falling in ditches, and then losing their lives. What these people don't realize is the reason these people are in detention centers is because they're wandering through miles of open desert, and many of them are dying and getting sick. Mm-hmm. And then they blame the Border Patrol when they rescue someone who is sick, bring them to a facility, and then they give them medical treatment, but the person still dies.
I remember
They
that.
say, that's the fault of CBP.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Remember that video? There's a photo of a little girl dead in a ditch. Did you see that? It's horrifying. It's a disgusting and horrifying story.
Yeah, like in a river.
It's tragic.
Yeah.
And if they stopped these individuals and put them in a truck and brought them to a facility and gave them medical attention and they still died, they would get blamed for it as well. They're offering us no solutions at all. Trump says, okay, do we do nothing? No, because now they're dying in the desert. Okay, do we pick them up and then bring them to a facility? No, there's too many people in the facility. Well, they keep coming here. How about we have them stay in Mexico because they're coming through Mexico and it's safe there? No, that's racist. They should come here. If literally imagine handing an array of manila folders. Here are your options, sir, 1 through 5. No, they're all racist, and throwing them all off the table. What are we supposed to do? One of them, if we can't do any of it, stop. You can't even negotiate.
But it's funny how when the Obama administration had some options that mostly everybody was fine with it. The media wasn't going crazy about it. There were some activists, the deporter in chief, right? Yep. But most of all, everybody was pretty okay with it. But Trump comes in, it's like, oh wow, he just really hates us foreigners, So it's
Obama was like, my fellow Americans, we're going to build a migrant detention center and put kids in it, take them away from their parents.
We love you.
Yeah.
Like seals.
2012, 4 more years. 4 more. Then it's like 2016, Trump wins. And then Trump, as soon as Trump's foot crosses the threshold of the White House, concentration camps. And Trump's like, what? And then Melania's like, we have to do something about this. And then no matter what she says, she's awful. Mm-hmm. And then Trump was like, I am going to enact a policy to end child separation. Well, it's your fault. Then they post a bunch of pictures from the Obama administration. That's what happened.
Yeah. It's exactly what happened. Can I just say I like your Trump impression?
Oh yeah,
you've been doing it. I like it. I am sold on
the hand thing. You got to do the hand thing.
You have to do the hand thing.
Have you seen the accordion video?
Oh yeah.
Someone made a video. It's a bunch of clips of Trump, and they put an accordion in between his hands. So when he's talking, it's going.
And it's so well done too. It's not just from the side, but there's the one where he's saying we have pizzas and we have burgers, and he's doing it from the side, and it still looks good. Like
so great.
Whoever made that, like that's not easy to do.
Pulitzer.
So props to you.
Yes.
Pulitzer.
Yes.
Thank you, Lydia.
You're on
the
All right.
ball.
Here we got another one from Shoddy Vice where he says it's really weird that regular people have to be quiet about voting for Trump. Like, why can't we just go back to bickering, then shaking hands and going back to drinking beer together? Well, if you're a moderate, liberal, politically homeless, or, conservative, we're all doing that. Like a conservative can sit down with a liberal and, crack a beer and have a conversation and then really disagree. But the left is not, doing that.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Who was that asked that question?
Shoddy Viceroy.
Shoddy, I'll tell you why. Because I'm one of those guys. And a lot of my friends from the past are just on edge, and I don't want to lose friends. That's ultimately why it's tough. I haven't
but
posted
that's the problem.
I'm not gonna anger my friends by rubbing it in their face, but I'm definitely gonna vote for Donald Trump. I have no choice at
Really?
this point. I mean, I'm not voting for Joe Biden. And last time I voted for Jill Stein, and it felt like I just wasted my vote.
No, you can't.
No Joe Jorgensen.
I don't even know who that is.
I gotta make sure this is clear. Never feel like you're wasting your vote ever for any reason.
But it did feel like a waste of a vote.
No, but you can't. Oh,
It was
first
just
of
a
all,
lot of time commitment. There was no point. She had no chance of winning
It
California.
doesn't matter.
Why did
It
I
doesn't
even bother?
because you stand up for what you believe in.
Right.
And if everyone else did, she could potentially win. Wasting your vote is when you vote for someone you don't like because you're scared of someone
That's
else.
what it is. I don't like Donald Trump, but I'm going to vote for him because I like his policies.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is most people are like, I hate Donald Trump, so I'm going to vote for another guy I don't like.
I know what you mean.
I
Which is
actually,
the Biden
I'm
method.
voting for Trump, especially because of these peace deals.
Yeah, it's huge.
I'm going to give him a vote because those peace deals, man,
And
that's
he
legit
coined
stuff.
the phrase "fake news."
Yeah.
Like it's just all sorts of
Accurate.
goods with this guy. It's the
Withdrawing
TPP thing. I mean,
I want him to get our troops out of the Middle East, particularly Afghanistan and Iraq, or at least down to levels where we're in more of an advisory and specialist role.
he's a diplomat with Russia. We need that more than ever with the Chinese CCP. We need to be allied with Russia.
Can I make a quick plea to Republican voters? If you're in a blue state and you think, I would vote, but Trump's not going to win California. Come on, vote anyway.
Did you know?
Okay, and because do you want to hear? All we've heard for the last 4 years is Hillary won the popular vote. Hillary won by 3 million votes. Hillary. Do you want that to happen with Joe Biden?
Yeah.
Right? Like he might win California, and I'm talking to you right now. He might win California, but do you want to hear? Oh, Joe Biden won the popular vote. Like, no, you don't. Go out and vote. Just vote. Make sure you're registered and vote.
That's a
Did
good
you
point.
know that if every
Thank you,
single
Tim.
Republican in AOC's district voted, she would lose? When
I don't know the makeup necessarily because a lot of her district in Queens is very it's heavy.
it's like
immigrant.
75 to 78%. But in terms of as
Oh,
Democrat,
as far as turnout. So I see.
No, right. So the amount of votes she actually got was like 178.
But
I
that
think.
was for the primary.
No. The primary was like 14,000 in a district of 750,000.
Right.
And in the general, when people went and just voted for the D, she ended up getting like a hundred and
Yeah,
some
like
thousand.
100,000.
If every single Republican turned out, she would lose. Because what people don't realize is that even though it's D plus 28 in her district, meaning it's Democrat, they all aren't voting. The problem is neither are Republicans. If every single Republican went out and voted, she'd lose.
It's interesting because like every vote's kind of like a grain of sand, and it can feel so insignificant. Just be like, oh, I'm just gonna. But when you have power like the internet video, like the ability to rally and connect and decide, like as a group, you're gonna use it's so much. You can create so much momentum and force.
Yeah.
And look, I encourage everybody to vote. It's important. It's your right. You don't get to do that in every country. And the fact that voter turnout is so low in just about every election, and in even local elections, you really need. My state senator is a Democratic socialist, so and I couldn't do anything about it.
Well, I hope you enjoy it. It's only going to get worse from here.
Thanks, Tim.
Unless every single Republican gets out and vote. And not just that, even the moderates. I thought Michelle Cruz-Cabrera could have won. But she didn't.
Had potential.
Right.
She had potential, but instead she just kept repeating the same dumb line ever again. AOC is MIA, and even to the point where she said so many times that AOC started mocking her. So she was just a waste of time. That was
It's unfortunate.
Really sad.
It's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate because she seemed like a smart woman, but she was not.
We got too many trash politicians. I don't care whether where left, right, up, down, whatever, man.
Out of all the choices as far as the Democrats go, who do you think should have been the nominee?
Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh.
In the primaries?
Yeah.
She's the only one who made an effort to reach out to conservatives to try and bridge that divide and have a real conversation. Some of her policies were very progressive. And especially on gun control. She opposes nuclear energy. I think that's wrong. But she was trying really hard. And I think there's two really important things for a president. Military service. Tulsi is a major in the National Guard. That's tremendous. And trying to be a leader for the whole country. The rest, everyone else was just like I mean, come on. Name one of the other primary candidates.
Andrew Yang.
Andrew Yang, smart guy, doesn't have the X factor, the charisma to be a commander in chief.
Yeah, he's kind of, in England they would have like two leaders. They'd have the prime minister and then I don't know.
But that's a parliamentary system. It's very different.
Yeah, but so like Winston Churchill would be like the businessman, while someone else would be like the military guy.
Pete Buttigieg
or whatever.
was vanilla.
Elizabeth Warren.
Warren is a duplicitous, say
Snake?
anything.
I kind of
They
like
put
her,
her-
but I don't really like
No.
her.
She stole so much of Bernie's
Oh yeah.
thing.
Cut his base in half. Bernie is a hypocrite. You know he stopped saying millionaires once he became a millionaire. He used to go
Oh,
the
we know.
millionaires and billionaires in this country.
He's
and then he
rhetorical.
looked at his tax return. I mean, just the billionaires.
He relied on rhetoric too much. Like he keep repeating phrases. You got to get out of that, I think, if you're going to run for office. And just
But Joe
flow.
Biden does that. Like anytime he talks, I know exactly what that guy's going to say.
Yeah.
And it's always the same thing over and over. Close your eyes. Remember how you felt when they came out of fields, and you're like, and it's like, oh, and then he always ends with the crescendo. He always tries to, where he's like, this is America. We can do. We've never been able to not do anything if we do it together. Like, and it's like, and God bless you and protect our troops. And then he ends.
What do you think about Tulsi? You didn't like her?
I didn't want her to be president.
Why not?
She's a radical. She had a green
think
new
so?
deal. She had a Green New Deal before AOC.
Yeah, she's very progressive.
Yeah.
But
Look,
people don't realize that the president doesn't make policy. All Trump can do is recommend 230 reform. He can't do these things.
well, he can suggest.
And
I
then
mean, look,
right.
we got the tax plan in. We got criminal justice reform. That wasn't from Congress. That was his administration trying to push that through. And with Tulsi, everybody loves Tulsi and her foreign policy.
Yeah.
And
That's kind of it for
ending
me,
endless wars. Absolutely. But as far as environmental stuff, as far as like she's radical. I like Tulsi a lot, and I respect her a lot. And out of all the Democrats, she is the least triggered when it comes to
She
Trump.
should have been the nominee.
Yeah.
Come
They
on,
were like-
Joe Biden's going to ban fossil fuels. He's going to do all these stupid, ridiculous things with all these far leftists.
Well,
If
the media would not give her a shake.
Of
And,
course.
you
They were
know,
like,
the
they
whole
don't
thing
even
with
have
Syria.
a woman of color on stage.
I remember
What? It was Tulsi
when-
Gabbard standing right there.
Remember when she nuked Kamala?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, she's a beast.
Oh,
yeah, she is.
She was a hero,
We
and
need
because
women like that.
if you remember, like Biden, he was the first to talk. He was the first to try and attack Kamala, and he was talking about like, look it up on Google. 1,000 people, like 1,000 cases. Like and you're like, oh, Joe, he doesn't know what he was talking about. He didn't even understand it. I think somebody just kind of wrote that thing for him. But then Tulsi comes in and just totally annihilated because she knew exactly what she needed to say. And at the time I was like, she's going to be Biden's vice president. Like she
You know
is.
what Tulsi was?
That's what I thought. I thought that
They hated her too much.
well, I thought that maybe if she was embraced by like a bigger candidate like Bernie or Biden, that people would come to realize that they were wrong about her as far as like the whole Bashar al-Assad stuff.
You know what's really amazing about Tulsi Gabbard's story arc is that she was like a golden child of the DNC until she endorsed Bernie Sanders instead of Hillary. And then look how easily the establishment turned her into a villain.
Oh yeah.
It was amazing. She was this up and coming star in the Democratic Party. You slight Hillary, and the media destroyed her. And then the only fair shake she could get, Tucker Carlson, conservatives, really giving her a chance to speak and disagreeing, but having that conversation. But I do think she tried to at least stop the split.
Well, she was as a member of the DNC. She goes, well, there were like 20 plus debates between Hillary and Obama. And now there's 6.
Yeah.
And that's a fair thing to question. You're like, why are there only 6 debates when
With more
we
candidates too, right?
Yeah,
They were rigging
like
the
by
game,
a
dude.
factor of 4. Like we're doing it's less debates, and so why are we doing this? I need to question this. Nope, they're like, no, you need to shut up and and they didn't even invite her. They didn't even invite her to the DNC just totally. They're dumb. They're dumb because
it's the establishment, dude. It's a big club and you ain't in it.
It's a war party. It goes bigger than politics.
And that's why the Never Trumpers ran with the tail between their legs. Like, help us, establishment Democrats. We're just like you. We want to blow up kids in foreign countries. And they were like, come.
But this is why Bernie should not have run as a Democrat this time.
I know.
Because he goes, I have a grassroots movement.
You know what he should have done? Run as a Democrat, and then at the last minute just said, I'm independent now. And he would have all the exposure from the Democratic primary, but then he would have just taken all those voters with him.
But that's why he ran as a Democrat.
It would have just split the Democrats, though.
No, not at all. I think if he would have run as an independent, he's like, look, I am the grassroots guy. I was screwed over by the DNC. Like, just run with that. Whether it's true, whether you believe it or not, to say that I'm running as an independent because I am an independent, because I'm doing this and this and this. And everybody would have forgotten about Pete Buttigieg, Andrew Yang, all those people. He would have, maybe brought in Tulsi as his running mate. But no, let the Democrats just totally kill themselves over these terrible debates, because none of them were substantive at all.
I can't imagine Biden winning. Like, I see all the polls and I'm just like, they're huge for him. But
there's just so much hatred against Trump.
Yeah. Well, the media's lying and lying and lying and lying.
And I don't trust the polls, because when you look at the polls, it's like 30% of the people said they're independent. Like, what?
No, my favorite thing is when you go to the Real Clear Politics average, it's like Emerson has Trump -10. Rasmussen has Trump, -3. Reuters has Trump -7. And then ABC has Trump -20. It's like the swing is like 2, 27, 3 plus 2. How could they all be so insanely different?
Because when you look at the makeup of the polls, when you see who they're talking to,
listen, the RCP in 2016 average, all the polls had Hillary within +3. They were all like Hillary +3, +3, +3 across the board. Yeah. And then Rasmussen had Hillary +2, which was the closest. Today, the Trump favorability is like everything's random. It's like they may have well just started throwing. They have a calendar with like a list of numbers, and they're closing their eyes and throwing darts. And they'd be like, "We have Trump -10 today," and then ABC's like, "Oh, we got -20." People gonna believe that?
But they're also they're also doing things like they're saying we didn't have enough of this one demographic. So
they all changed.
So we're gonna weight it. We're basically gonna say we're gonna overcompensate.
Right.
And they were not doing that back in 2016 because the polls were so wrong. And now they're trying to make up for it. And now they're trying to say, well, we didn't do this, so let's try this, and maybe it will be more accurate. These polls are insane. Like just when you look at all the fine little details, who they spoke to, the demographic, it's.
I think it's rigged.
The Democratic when you have primary polls, those are pretty freaking accurate. When you're only you're only talking
just
to
the
registered Democrats.
Yeah.
You're only speaking to one group. That's fine. But when you're mixing in both, you can't have, well, we talked to 50% Republicans and 50% Democrats. And then that was shown in the polls, which isn't going to be accurate anyway. Or maybe, maybe it is.
Do you think Trump is going to win?
I think it's 50-50. I think it all depends on turnout, on how many ballots are accepted.
How many vanish into ditches?
How many vanish? How many, this signature doesn't quite match, so we're going to throw it out.
Nope. That's getting, like in Pennsylvania, for instance, they can't throw that out anymore.
I think it depends on the state. But also, or they didn't sign it at all.
Right.
Mistakes. And you're not going to be able to say, well, they didn't sign it, but they meant to.
Yeah.
Look what happened in New York.
Well, the ballots were wrong. The envelopes were wrong.
They rejected a lot of ballots.
100,000,
but not just that.
Crazy.
It's that people started receiving ballots where the envelope was actually a different name on it, and they're like, "What? I can't send that in. Sorry, your vote's gone."
Well, this is why every time I go on Instagram, there's a thing that says you need to register to vote. Like, I'm registered to vote, and I'm going to vote in person.
Yeah.
If I can shop in person, I can vote in person. When people say, "Well, I don't feel safe," it's like, can you go to the grocery store?
Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci said it already. We can vote in person. It's safe.
But the Democrats are definitely running that whole you need to vote by mail and get your family to vote and have a plan. And
let me tell you. I think if I was going to make a bet with cash money, it'd be for Trump. Because the odds for Biden, just like the odds for Hillary, it's not even worth the money. You put down $1, you can win a quarter. Nah. You put down $1 on Trump, you can win $100 because they got the odds for. Well, the odds for Trump aren't that bad, but they were really bad. It was amazing. I know it was like 13% for Trump to win. I know people who made fat cash off Trump with very little risk. That's why I'm saying, like, yeah, you'd be crazy to put money down on. Biden.
Do I want Trump to win? Yes. Do I think that? I mean, anything's possible. I mean, this is the craziest year. Anything can happen. So nothing is a sure thing.
Have you guys noticed that the vote tallies at the end are very close, and they have been, I think, systematically for the last 30 years. And I haven't been following. I don't know. The last landslide was like Ronald Reagan, maybe.
Yeah.
And ever since,
it's been getting more and more equally polarized.
Almost like it's like 52-48 is the final vote. Is that real, or is that just because people are using those voter hacking machines?
No, I think it's media polarization. Key markets are getting inundated with, like the way I explain to people is, if you're from Chicago, you'll understand this. Growing up in Chicago, we had one like rock radio station that was prominent, and it played the same Stone Temple Pilots song every day. It was like you're gonna get Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots, and that was it. And I remember in like the mid 2000s, they would still play songs from the 90s, and I'm like, is this an oldies station now? So the reason I bring this up is basically they're like, it makes money, roll with it. So what happens is media markets start emerging, and so now we're in the worst part of it, where, like, this is my favorite. After the debate, CNN ran an article saying Fox News airs pro-Trump propaganda after debates. That's Fox News. MSNBC did the same thing. CNN did anti-Trump propaganda. Are we going to talk about all of the networks doing literally the same thing, pandering to key markets? No, CNN's going to pretend we are honest and objective, but Fox News is bad, and then totally ignore MSNBC literally having Kamala Harris on to bash Trump. That's pretty sure that's pro-Biden propaganda. So what's happening is you're getting the cities targeted and the rural areas targeted, and it's creating like this very, two big forces that are pushing into each other.
I mean, you've seen how they build machines that will literally flip a vote 51-49. A guy testified in Congress in I think it was Florida.
Because they just hacked the voting machine.
So have they been doing that since like 2000? I'm kind of like asking you the same question again.
We don't know.
No way to know. But it seems like it's just always so close. And I think, come on, man. It's 63-40.
No.
I think we're just that polarized. I think that we're just.
If someone's gonna steal an election, they're gonna give themselves a decent margin. They're not
going to
be
make it look like 51%. Man, you don't want to make it too obvious.
No, that makes it obvious.
I don't know, but it's been
happening. You're talking about it right now.
I know.
Well, the reality is we're a polarized nation, and we have the graphs to prove it. It's not just votes. We have so many different polls from so many different polling institutions, universities, showing the Democrats and the Republicans' ideologies and their shifts left and right, and that's where we are. The latest Pew ideological chart shows the Democrats have moved ridiculously far left, and the Republicans have moved a little bit to the right. So that's what's really happening. And for me, as somebody who's like center left, the Democrats are gone. I don't know where they're at. They're so far left, I can't even see them anymore. I look to my right, they're Republicans. I'm like, I kind of disagree with them, but, we agree on a lot of things.
Yeah, Tulsi would have won 20 years ago for sure if she'd been around.
I don't know about 20 years ago. She's pretty progressive.
Yeah, she is progressive, and I said radical before, and a lot of her policies are. But she's a smart woman. I do like the commander-in-chief angle. I like the foreign policy angle. Domestic issues, not so much. But
sure, But name a better Democrat. They were all just really bad. They didn't have the qualifications, and I think.
I think Elizabeth Warren's domestic stuff is awful too. Like we're gonna invest billions and billions of dollars into green energy research. We don't know what exactly we're gonna get from that.
Like, tell me what you want.
But we're gonna she goes, well, we got to the moon. And like when
we
wanted
knew
to
we
go
were going there.
Well, we knew to build a rocket.
Yeah.
We knew exactly what we needed to get there, and then we did it. And the same thing is like, we made tanks and we made ships and stuff for World War II, right? For this green energy, like, okay, we're going to invest all this money in research and development for this thing.
Cold fusion.
And then this is the best part. Like this is her. This is the best part. We're going to take this thing, whatever it is, and we're going to sell it around the world. And if they want it, They gotta buy it American. Like
Sounds
we're gonna make it here.
That's just more.
I don't know how we're gonna transport this thing. I mean, it could be a huge thing. Are we just gonna like put this thing on a ship and
Levitate.
move it over? Like no, they don't have a plan.
Yeah,
They don't
vote
have
for
a-
me, and I'll find someone that will know what to do.
Or
That's basically her plan.
Or Joe Biden curing cancer. We don't. How? Like you're just gonna throw? You can't throw money at a problem like no.
We need to know what you're working for.
Nobody gets on Biden for this. Biden kept saying, we're gonna do the most important thing we've ever done. If you elect me, we're gonna cure cancer. It's like,
Which one?
like no, we're not.
Which cancer?
Yeah.
Any kid. I'll tell you. And of course the joke is if Trump said we're gonna cure cancer, people would be like, cancer's not that bad.
Yeah.
Why would you want to cure it? What's wrong?
Yeah. What's
Well,
wrong with cancer?
well, friends, we are half an hour over.
Yeah.
I know, I
Oh
kept
my
going.
God.
Yeah.
So, but we got
pushing it.
It's time to call it. So, do you want to get shout out your channel and your social medias? Or anything?
Yes. If you want to follow me on Twitter and or Parler, it's DontWalkRun, all one word. And my channel is Don't Walk Run or Don't Walk Run Productions on YouTube. And there's some stuff in my Teespring store if you want to buy a cool Asteroid 2020 T-shirt. The Bernie logo
Style.
and everything. But I want to thank you guys for having me on.
Oh,
This
for sure,
has
man.
been really
Yeah.
fun, and I'm sorry we talked about Batman, but you guys super chat
That was
out of it.
great.
And
okay.
I'd like to one day get back to talking about Batman.
I could go
everything's back to normal.
on. I could go on about Batman, and but you look. These guys are great. They've been very hospitable and very smart people. And This is like the first time I've done.
And we are in no way
in-person
forcing
interview.
him
Yeah.
No.
We're
to do
not
this,
forcing him
to
to
say
do
these
it.
things about
fine.
us.
Not
No, I
making
was.
These are
on,
his own honest opinions.
No,
Yes.
I was. I did a Skype call into Gavin McGinnis, his
Oh,
show.
right on.
Oh, snap.
And that was really fun. He was super nice. Not as nice as you guys, but
Oh, yeah, that's right.
but,
we win. Yes.
but very nice. But this is just the fact that you guys invited me means a lot.
Yeah,
and,
man.
Right on, man.
And
Happy to
please,
have you.
got good
please keep
videos.
supporting. Please keep supporting Tim, and he's awesome. So
Oh, thanks, man.
Is Don't Walk Run the walk away movement? Is that
No,
reference?
no. People think
Run
I mean,
away.
It could be.
away.
Yeah, don't walk away. Run. Right. That's
Danger.
Danger. Timcast. No, it comes from like an old commercial. The sale isn't gonna last forever, so. Don't walk, run to your nearest Toyota dealer, that kind of thing. That's
Yeah.
where that
All right.
comes
Right
from.
on.
So
Well, of course, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Parler at Timcast. Check out my other channels, youtube.com/Timcast, youtube.com/TimcastNews, because I have too many channels. And you can also follow Ian.
Yes, follow me on Twitter, and it's Ian Crossland is the handle. You can get me on Instagram too, and pretty much most of the social networks. I like Minds also.
Yeah.
I co-founded Minds.
Oh, there you go.
I'm on Instagram. I never push Instagram. Really sorry. It's Don't Walk Run Productions. I need 10,000 followers on
do
Instagram
it.
to
You
be able to
can do
do
it.
anything. You're limited to. You can't put links and stuff. So
Really?
Yeah, like when you do a story.
Yeah.
You
I didn't know
can't
that.
do a link until you have like a certain amount of followers.
I hate
Yeah,
elitism.
it's so weird. So
So follow
anyway.
Andrew on Instagram.
Yeah.
Don't Walk Run Productions.
Yes,
Yeah,
perfect.
And of
it's
course-
really an amazing Instagram.
And of course, you can follow at Sour Patch Lids.
Yes. LYDS. Correct.
Sour
This
Patch
is true.
LYDS.
Liz is totally worth following.
Oh
She's
yeah.
awesome.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate
My
that.
goodness.
It's Friday, right?
Yes, it is.
We'll be back Monday, live, 8 p.m. And I don't know what we're going to be doing. We'll talk about something. Hopefully, Trump's going to be okay. He had
Yeah.
COVID.
Hopefully
so.
Trump will be alive. That's
Yes,
that's
yes,
yes.
Fingers
That is
crossed.
the hope.
Fingers
Yes.
crossed.
Right on, man. Andrew, thanks for hanging out.
Thank you
It's been
guys.
fun.
You guys are the best.
Cool.
This is
Man.
really fun.
All right, everybody. Make sure you smash that like button on your way out, and we will see you all Monday at 8 p.m. live.